Hello, everybody. Welcome to Jinx Thinks. Today I have with me Checking Convictions, Linda. Hello. And Nosy
Hello.
Ren. Hello, Nosy. How are you guys today?
I'm very excited. Been looking forward to this. I really am.
How about
I'm
you,
good.
Nosy? I love your disguise. You looking great. Love the little.
Hi,
I'm
everyone.
gonna be fascinated with your little hair bob.
Yeah, she looks like whoop whoop.
So we're here today to talk about Riddle Me This, Ryan Hillegas, Part 2. We're going to peek in today with everything Ryan and why he may have been overlooked as a person of interest or a suspect in some people's minds. I want to point out here in the beginning that these are just my opinions. Ryan is innocent until proven guilty. And even though I believe he should have been a suspect, it doesn't mean anything. It's just my opinion. So, just so you guys know, this is all just my opinion. Anybody who has any say otherwise is wrong, okay?
Well, I like to call
Anyway,
Ryan. I like
I
to
could.
call Ryan your the number one suspect that the Ellie overlooked.
Right. So I am going to do slides. I made a PowerPoint that I started in early January, which is why I haven't been on. And it's really not finished, but it's as done as it's ever going to be. So there might be a part 3 someday, but who knows? We won't actually say that. So before I get started, I just want to say hi to everybody in the chat. I see Donna in chat. I see TTM Fangirl, Jazznaz, Susan, R. William. I saw Anthony, D, Sherry, all of you people, Angie. Iced Coffee, Paul Ward, Sheila Smokey. I just want to say thank you for joining me, and I guess we should get started. What do you guys think? I'm gonna,
I'm ready. Hi,
I'm
Al.
gonna, I'm gonna do slides. So
Oh,
I
you
guess.
forgot Banana Man.
Oh, and hi, Banana Man! I'm so glad
You
you're
can't
here!
forget him. He's the hottest thing
Yay!
on the
And
internet.
yours is here. Yay! All right. So for the slides, there's a lot of them. So I think what I'll do is I don't know how to do this, to be honest. I'm just going to start them. And then if you guys got comments on anything, feel free to ask. And I will stop the slideshow for a minute or two and discuss stuff. I'm not going to be able to see the chat with the slides
Gotcha.
open. I'm not going to be able to see StreamYard, anything. I'm just going to be able to see the slides. So I'm going to depend on Nosy and checking to keep me
I'll be checking.
in the loop. So thank you for helping me out. Um, I guess we should get to this, huh? I don't know.
And a drum
I
roll.
want
Okay, I'm
to.
muting. I'm
I don't
muting. Go ahead.
know. Oh, okay. Let's add this to the stream. This is my slideshow. Let's see if I can. I'm going to make it big, so I'm going to disappear from all of this. I tried to do a double screen. Okay, I have a TV I can plug in, but unfortunately my computer doesn't seem to want to let me do that. So we'll do this the best we can. Let me find my screen here and make this a big. Make this my slideshow. We'll start from the beginning. So this is Ryan Hillegas. Riddle Me This, Ryan Hillegas, Part 2. I chose some nice smirking pictures for you guys to see while he was looking for his friend. Notice it says friend and not ex-boyfriend on there. And he's smirking while he's talking about searching for his missing best friend. And I always thought that was odd. So we'll start with him with that. And I'm going to start going in an order of timeline in a sense. This is a pre-motion hearing from Ryan on August 9th, 2006. The question was, what was the nature of your relationship with her, meaning Teresa Halbach? And he says, we were close friends. We dated for a while in high school. Basically, just remained friends. So that question's asked, so for a period of time, were you boyfriend, girlfriend? And he says, mm-hmm. They did eventually tell him to say yes because you're not allowed to talk like that in court. But at Avery's trial, he puts the questions, how do you know Teresa? And he says, I guess was a long time friend. We had dated for 5 years or so, end of high school and early part of college. So now he's telling more of the truth, right? Because we know he dated her during part of college. And then they said, at some point, did you and Ms. Hallback stop being boyfriend and girlfriend? And he said yes. So I went back and was looking at some of the other records. So I am kind of jumping around with the timeline of records, but it's also about him being in high school with Teresa. And it says Ryan stated he dated Teresa approximately 5 years, with that being divided by 3.5 years in high school and approximately, that sounds weird, doesn't it? 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Should it be
Well,
4.5 years? I didn't even notice that until just I read it out loud. And approximately 1.5 years in college, which is what I think he actually, oh, 3.5 years. I see what he's saying. Ryan stated the reason for the breakup was distance. Ryan stated he was enjoying himself in Stevens Point and was not always willing to make the trip to Green Bay or Hilbert area, and Teresa was had established herself in the Green Bay and likewise was not always willing to make the trip to Stevens Point. Ryan stated he and Teresa remained close friends even after terminating their dating relationship. Ryan stated Teresa never mentioned any sort of abusive relationship to him. Now, this statement came from 2017 when they did the Queso 2.0, as I call it, and they went back and talked to some people. This is the only picture I know of them dating. I mean, they must have been dating at the time. They look pretty young.
he
Any
sure lost
questions
all
so
his hair fast.
far? I wonder why.
He'll be all that
I, I,
stress.
I shouldn't talk. I'm losing mine.
God.
So let's see what he was doing in high school. In high school, he was an Eagle Scout. I don't think I'm going to read all of this. I'm just going to headlines. Hilbert Scout will develop nature trail. He basically created this nature trail at his in his community by the high school for his project to become an Eagle Scout. And then it became the community's pride. And they would go and like have their classes out there. And he goes, Hillegas said he hopes the project enhances community pride and spurs more joint community improvements along the nonprofit organizations. He sounds like a good guy, you know. This is 2000. Located right on school grounds of that high school, we have a school forest that has become an extension of the biology classroom, basically. So here he is doing this. Another interesting part is even when our forest during the Halloween season is a haunted forest, the forest is largely the work of one of our former students, Ryan Hillegas, and an Eagle Scout project. And then he did end up getting his award, his Eagle Scout award in 1998. So that actual story is after that. So he did become an Eagle Scout. So he seems like an outstanding member of community, right? He's creating forests and nature trails, and not only that, he's also the quarterback of the Wolves, which is Hilbert High School, and he brought the team. Him and his team brought it to state championships in 96, 97, and he was still playing in 97, 98 for his high school year. And um, they even had a cereal named after them. I kind of brought this up in the Riddle Me This Hillegas extra, extra, extra Mark Hillegas stuff because he was mentioned in here. Another interesting thing is they did this charity thing with these boxes of cereals for Troy Bunnell, and that's somebody connected to Amanda Bunnell who does the FOIAs. I always love pointing that out. Anyway, and then of course he keeps doing his schools. They still get used to winning. He's pictured in the newspaper. Blade Oren is pictured. Quarterback Hillgrass is pictured doing his thing. He was number 4 on the Wolves here. You know, he's a pretty outstanding guy, a football star, and this is who Teresa's dating. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like almost like you're like, go girl, you got him. I mean, and she wasn't even a cheerleader. I'm sorry for that that stigma, but you know how it is, the football's
Yeah.
cheerleaders, and she's dating this great, outstanding community member doing all this stuff. And they graduated in 98. I threw this in there just to show that Scott Blodorn was part of her graduating class, Ryan Hillegas. I threw in Lisa McGlone and Kelly Pitson because those are the two girls that ended up going to Teresa's house to do the phone calls with Bladorn and Hillegas the night of the third. So just throw that in there. Now let's get to college. Who remembers this? The letters and opinions at the Stevens Point Pointer poll for the Stevens Point College paper. They did a poll and they asked Ryan Hillegas, what scares you the most? And what did he say? He said, women, because they're evil.
Oh,
And that's totally a dig at Teresa because they had been together. He obviously didn't want to part completely with her. Like, that's a dig at her, in my opinion.
And like he said, they only parted because of distance, right?
yeah.
So that's a concern too,
Wait,
right? So why is he think
color
at this
image
point,
two.
this is 2002. If they dated most of high school and part of college, this is just part of his college, right? So he must have, how many relationships is he really to compare to say that women are evil? To me, that makes him kind of,
Right, and he doesn't hate his mom, so.
now he's kind of a mama's boy, I think, but I won't get into that. So any questions, anything yet? We good? We good? Keep going?
Keep
I
going.
don't see none. Go ahead.
All right. Then we have his college. He's still in college in July of 2005. He's on the honor roll and dean's list. He did make those, or one of them, for both of these mentions in 2005. He graduated in 2005. So I'm guessing he graduated somewhere around August, probably the summer semester ending, because during the time of this case, he was not working or nor in school. So let's begin with when this is. I'm going to go through some emails that I found interesting. This is an email from February of 2005 from her friend, or to her friend Brenda. And she says, as for me, things are going great. I actually just had a roommate move into my house with me. His name is Scott, and he is a friend from high school. It's only been 2 days, but I think it'll be good. He's a construction worker, and he already has fixed some things around here. And now I'm not, and no, I'm not attracted to him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked him to move in, of course. He's a good guy. The interesting thing is that one of his best friends is my ex-boyfriend. So he has been over a few times, which is fine because my ex and I are good friends and there's nothing going on there. It's just odd because now he can come over anytime. It will take some adjusting. So does that sound like she's really like close to Ryan at this point in 2000, February of 2005, when he's starting to come around again? She seems a little uncomfortable about it. She's got to adjust to it. What do you guys think?
I agree. She's like, the only problem, it's
Is
yeah,
and
that they're best friends.
she doesn't say that it's one of her best friends, right? She
Right.
calls him the ex-boyfriend, and then she says, so he's been over a few times and it's not a big deal because they're good friends, but it's taking some adjustments. So they're not actually like, it sounds like they remain friends, but they're not best
Right.
friends,
Right.
let's say.
I agree.
And then we come to, there's not much in there between February and in the emails between February and October. This is now the beginning of October, the same month Teresa goes missing. This is just an excerpt of a longer email from her friend Megan that came on the 3rd, and hers wasn't dated, but by what's in the email, it had to have been within that, like a 5-day period between September 29th, when her mention of her friends' birthdays, that she had seen them for their birthdays, and then the day that she writes back. So somewhere between September 29th, I'm going to say 2005, and and this date of 11/3/05. Teresa had written her first, and she responded. This is Teresa's part. It fills my heart. I'm pretty annoyed at the roommate. I should have cut that part out. I don't know what that means. I'm pretty annoyed at the roommate. The guy is a pig, and I can't stand to be around him most days. Luckily, we don't see much of each other. The man situation is pretty lame. Nothing much going on there. Although Ryan stopped by last night because he and Scott were going out and he was checking me out. Oh, I know when he's checking me out, but I didn't mention it to him. Anyway, it gets me thinking, how was it that this guy held my interest for so long and I allowed myself to love him so much? And nothing else has come up since then. It's strange, but that's my life. Not like I'm wanting to get back together with him, but I would like to feel that way about someone again. So, and this is where she says, I'm going to out with Hooch and Kate because it's their birthdays last week, which would have been the 28th or 29th of But what really odd to me in this email is it gets me thinking, how was it that this guy held my interest for so long and I allowed, the word allowed alone makes me wonder, myself to love him so much? So, what do you guys? Do you guys take that as some odd wording to
I
use?
will speak on that. It gets me thinking, how was it that this guy held my interest for so long? It was the dig. That's what it was.
So he was a dick. She stayed with him anyway. She allowed herself to love him even though he was a
No,
dickhead.
he was not that he was a dick. It was the dick.
Oh.
It
Well,
was.
let's be honest here. If they dated during part of high school and part of college, what are the chances that both of them lost their virginity to each other?
I think it's possible. And then also you have to think about, like, when they went off to college and you've been with this person for so long through high school, whatever, you go off to college, you experience culture and new things, and you meet people from all over around the world, and you start to realize things and you start to see people differently through other people. And for me, it seems like this is a moment that she's having right now in this email, is that she's like,
I
wow, I've
I
seen all these great relationships, these great guys. Like, why did I like this a-hole for so long? And I'm
yeah.
telling you, it's because it was the dick.
Well, like Jeff Jones says, he. I think Teresa was growing up and realizing that she was naive as a young woman, and then Paul Ward says she's
That's interesting.
disappointed in herself. And we won't read Banana Man's because we know where his mind is.
I want read it. I can't see it, and now that you mentioned it,
Well, he's
you
talking
better
about
put
Subway
it out.
sandwiches. How's that one for you?
At least we're giving him some props in one area.
Now
Yeah,
I
but
gotta
no,
close this and open YouTube chat and be like, behave.
no. I do kind of tend to agree with Jeff that she was young and maybe a little naive and she had better standards for herself, maybe.
Now she has better
Right.
standards.
Now she was thinking like more adult like she has
William,
certain
Teresa
things.
had her own money. I mean, her family, she was gonna be set for life. So
Lulu,
Well, I don't know. I
Lulu.
don't know if that's true about that, but she did work hard for her money. She did have a banking account. She did have money saved. She did open her own business. She was planning on being her own
yeah,
independent photographer woman and doing her job. She was doing business. Um, Meetings with other, networking with other people in the business and having meetings every Wednesdays and stuff like that. So she was very independent and did want to grow her own
Right.
business. Whether or not she had any money coming her way from her father's death and the land that was over there, that has been said and stuff, and that there might have been a trust fund and stuff like that. I just don't know for sure. So I'm not going to sit out here and say, yeah, she had money from her father coming to her or anything like
You
that.
have to say hi to Lulu Justice. You know she's never
Hi, Lulu. I'm
here.
so happy you came. I've been missing
Yes.
you.
We love her. Anyway, continue.
All right. So, anyways, that's the 3rd of October, within the first week of October. So now let's talk about October. Let's talk about the phone records for Ryan and Teresa. These are from both of their records, from the archived record, from all the records I can pull. I will eventually link all of these. They are in this link for this slideshow. I might link the slideshow, and then you guys will have links and sources at the bottom of it. I don't know how I'll do it, but let's talk about October, because it just so happens on October 3rd, Ryan is calling Teresa. And it was about a minute call, and then nothing for like a week. But what I find odd is during the 10th, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse on the screen or not, but during the 10th and the 11th, the 13th, the 15th, it becomes pretty consistent that they're talking. Even the next week, it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So it's pretty interesting. But then on the next week, it's 2 days, and then they don't talk again. They stopped talking on the 25th via phone for whatever reason. But the thing that I find odd is that it's like there's 18 calls between them in October. Okay, so I want you guys to remember that number. One of the calls is even to the parents' house, Teresa calling Ryan's parents. And I put this little question from the trial transcripts. It might be trial, it might be pre-trial. To be honest, I did not mark it. So it says, he asks him, it's the defense, be fair to say that Teresa had a private side as well that you didn't know about? And he goes, no, I don't think so. I don't think she had a private side that I didn't know about. We were pretty open with each other. We talked a lot. And that's proof right here that they're talking a lot. But yet they don't look at this man at all. They don't look at any of her victimology. Let's just face that. They didn't look back at her past at all. You wanna start looking into the weeks leading up to somebody missing if you really want to find who or why they may be missing, right? So I'm going to continue forward with the phone calls. This is the phone calls from her archives. Now, some of the calls may be missing because archives do seem to be missing some calls. Some of the calls are calls we know about from October, so we know they were made. But I do have I did go through it and see that there's only 35 calls from January 2005 to September of 2005. So 35 calls for 9 months and then 18 calls in 1 month. There's 4 calls in January, one in February. There's a couple more in March. There's 6 calls in March. But if you look on the 18th and the 22nd, it's their birthdays. You're calling your friend to wish him a happy birthday, makes an extra call that month, right? You have 1 call in April, 4 calls in May, 5 in June, a couple in July, 7 calls in August. Now, I pointed out that on August 21st in the paper, Ryan's sister was getting married, and they did list it in the paper, so there is a little clip here. And that her friend who had come over to do the calls with Ryan and them on the 3rd, she believed the last time she had saw Halbach was at a wedding at the end of August. So I question, is this the same wedding? Hillegas' sister's wedding?
Have we ever looked at the engagement announcements for like that weekend?
This is the engagement announcement was not there. All that's in there, like you actually have to pay for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what was in there was the marriage license, which I think is printed no matter what, because it's from the government prints the marriage license given that week. So her marriage license is in there. I'm not saying it's not in there. I don't recall seeing it. Maybe the paper wasn't that it's in isn't online yet. There's those possibilities as well, but there was no picture, no nothing, just Chad and Tara.
Well, what I mean is like to find out if that was the wedding Teresa was at. Do we know of other weddings in the area?
I do not know if she had any other weddings that she may have gone to at the end of August. I will say it is August. It is summer. A lot of people do get married in the summer. So maybe it was just another one of her friends' weddings. I just happen to know at this point that on August 21st, there was an upcoming wedding for Chad and Tara Hillegas, which is his brother. Ryan is her brother. So I thought that was kind of interesting. 35 calls for almost a year and then 18 in October, but nothing to see here. also want to bring in Fauna. Fauna is somebody that he starts talking to in the middle of the month, around the same time that he's talking to Teresa. He starts talking to her, but he's calling her. This Fauna woman is not calling him. And I find it odd that on October 25th, the same day that he stopped talking to Teresa on the phone, was the very same day that Fauna had called him on the phone. And what's really odd is that she joined the Freedom and Justice group for Brendan Dassey a couple years ago and noticed her in there. I happened to tell somebody in the Madmans and they deleted her. But
Ah,
I find that kind of telling too, because this is somebody that Ryan was talking to quite a bit. He even talked to her on the 31st. So if Ryan could possibly have an alibi, it may be Fauna. Maybe he was dating some girl and was out on Halloween with a girl. But nobody ever bothered to talk to Fauna. Nobody bothered to look at Ryan at all. So technically, he could have an alibi. He might not even be the perp. I mean, I find all of these little things suspicious and not looked at. So it's
well, you do
what
because they didn't
maybe
look into him.
maybe they had a date and he canceled, and there goes his alibi. We don't know because they don't care to look at this guy. And then there's a couple of the other calls. He talks to her on the second, the third, and the fourth. Other than that, I don't know because we only have records for so long, which was to the fourth for Ryan. So I always found Fauna interesting. So let's skip ahead here, or kind of skip around. This is the an email from one of Teresa's friends who was having a Halloween party, and it says, "Hey everyone, it's that time of year again. You all know the drill. Her place, Saint something street in De Pere, and it was going to be for 9 o'clock, October 21st. Bring what to drink, wear your costume. They'll have snacks. Forward to whoever. The more the merrier. The more the scarier." That was kind of cute. And then Aubrey Weigrelak, she's one of Teresa's friends. On November 4th, she does mention this party. So this party is pretty much verified that Teresa was there because Teresa saw her at the Halloween party on October 21st, which Hallbeck attended dressed as a cowgirl. And she planned to see her Saturday, which would have been the 5th, when the two were to throw a surprise party for two friends in Green Bay. And you can see that on her day planner. But let's go back to the 21st here because this is Teresa's day. Teresa did do she had a lead sheet from the 20th or from the 10th. This is the lead sheet where she gets called in to do a hustle shot for Stephen Avery, right? Stephen Avery called her on the phone, so private, you know, whatever. Come see me, not through the business. Nobody knows about it, just Teresa and Avery. She goes over to the property, but she has all these other appointments that day, so she does map some addresses. And what she maps is 12932 Avery to one of the other addresses on the lead sheet. So she doesn't need to know how to get to Avery's, but she needs to know how to get from Avery's to another appointment. And what I noticed is in her computer analysis with Mike Velli, he says that this was created at 10:10:05 at 11:04 a.m., but it was last accessed on 10/21/05 at 8:07 p.m. 50 minutes before her party that she attended in De Pere. So what we have here now is all of Teresa's pinging towers. We know that she had an appointment in Seymour from her day before, from the October 20th, which she did map out on the 21st at 9:56 a.m. to go to Seymour to do one of her last appointments, it looks like. She then was at home and faxed this back, or actually, I don't even know if she might have actually faxed this. I got to check that time date because that fax machine was off. She does eventually fax it back. But what I find odd is she Why would she reopen the Avery map on the 21st at 8 o'clock at night when she's showing all of her pinging towers? They're all out near De Pere and Green Bay, which is up north from her. Not near Manitowoc. She's nowhere near Manitowoc. I can't be sure if she had her computer with her. Maybe she had it at the studio. But then I asked the question, why would she reopen a map to the Averys on the 21st? She's done other maps during the last 11 days. There's no reason for her to map anything in Manitowoc. She's not going to Manitowoc. She's going to a party. And her pinging towers are showing her at, so if it's at home, if her computer's at home, which I suspect it was, because why would she need to have it if she's printing out all of her work to take with her, which we have seen. She's got 7:48 p.m. She is, I think I can actually highlight this. Let's see this. Highlighter. At 7:48, she's pinging a tower that is in Green Bay. I have maps. I will show you this. And then she's not pinging any towers at 8:07, so I can't tell where she is when this map is recreated. But at 9:12, she's back in De Pere. So these are the pinging maps. I do have all of these records. I will let you guys see them. If you haven't seen them already, they're usually on Foul Play, StephenAveryCase.org, or other people's drives. So I will put these out for you guys. Let me do, oops, I got to take this off now, I guess. How do I do that? Go back. How do I do that? Uh-oh, I screwed up, guys. Where was I? I am here. All right, I gotta take this off. How do I do that? I didn't ever figure this out, you guys. I shouldn't have done this. Anyway, now I got the highlighter on, so I guess I'll just highlight anything. So this is the maps of where she was. This is where she's at 7:48. This is the pinging tower up here on 2500 or 2580 University Avenue. It would have taken her 41 minutes to get from that area to her home to re-access this map at 8:07. Seems unlikely. It would also have taken her 51 minutes to get back to her home. That could be likely. But so just so you see where these towers she's hitting are all up here, up north in Green Bay. She's nowhere near Manitowoc. So again, why was it last accessed on 10/21, 8:07? And why was it Avery's map? Who finds that suspicious? I'm sorry, but that's fucking crazy. No? Am I wrong? Any questions? Any comments? I gotta see how I do this. Oh, I did that wrong again too. You guys, I gotta figure out how to get this highlighter off. As you know, tell me how. Oh, I got it off. There we go. Anybody there? Anybody there? I can't see anything. Am I gone? Hello? Hello? Did I fall out? Where are my people?
Jinx. Oh, there we go. We knocked ourselves out. I'm so sorry. I'm so
I
sorry.
can't see that you knocked yourselves out because I can't see anything.
I know. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to screw up your
Well, this is
beautiful
going on
slideshow.
without a hitch, guys.
Oh God, it's us dumbasses. I'm so sorry.
I need to
And
learn
then-
how. You guys got to learn how to put yourselves back in.
And then I'm
Yeah.
trying to let Linda in, and I just kicked myself out.
Yeah, but no, there's not really no questions. There's a few comments and
Okay.
let me see if I can get it.
I was feeling very alone.
During okay, I gotta go way up. Nosy, don't make it into a giggle show, okay? Because this will not stop. Anyway, Paul, we'll start with Paul. He says Ryan found the car by trespassing on Avery Yard, towed Ellie. Ellie and Ryan organized Pam of God to get permission to be on the yard to find the car. Just a thought. And then, well, Nosy said something about trespassing, and Um, dropped calls because he found the car.
We're
That
not
was
that
from Paul.
far yet, guys.
Oh, so they're ahead of the game. Hey guys, slow down. Let her get to it. No giggle up. Okay, we're muting.
Just
Not
don't
dropping.
go away because
No,
I can't see.
see that's what I did. I pushed and meant to
I'm like,
unmute.
hello, where is everybody?
I meant to unmute and doggone it, I
Oh,
pushed the
I
wrong
snorted.
button. I won't do it now. I'm ready. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Let's go back to the slide if I can get there now that I was working again. So, okay, so the last access to her computer, I believe, was done at her house by somebody at her house, and they knew who Avery was and was specifically looking for that map, in my opinion. Anyway, I want to bring this up too because we're going into later that week before she's missing, the 28th. I found it. I put a little thing together for how many times Teresa's talking to him and when Vaughn is actually talking to him. And you kind of see that they're not really talking. He's not really talking to these two girls on the same days, which I don't know if that's a pattern or anything like that. But what I found out was on the 28th in blue, he calls Kelly Pitson. He hasn't talked to Teresa now on Thursday like he usually had the 2 weeks prior, and he's calling Kelly Pitson. And you can see on his phone right here at the bottom is him calling her. He talks to her for about 4 minutes in total, and then what you see later that evening at 8:30 p.m., Kelly had called to Teresa's phone. Teresa, she looks like she left a message. Teresa called her voicemail, got the message, and then called her back 3 times that night. Now, the 28th, Teresa, I just find it odd that he's calling her and then she calls him. She doesn't really talk to Kelly a lot on the phone. When you go and look at her records, it's not like an everyday thing. So I find it kind of odd that the day that Ryan called Kelly, Kelly then calls Teresa a little later that afternoon. So I kind of found that as a little odd, in my opinion. And then we have this is Megan writing her again. This is around this is the date on this email from her is 10/26. I'm going to read the bottom part first because Teresa had written Meg first, so I'm going to read that and then I'll do the top part. So what Teresa had written to Meg at this time was, I did get your last email. It's so good to hear from you. Sounds like you've been quite busy. My volleyball season is just over now, so I might have more time on my hands. Weeks fly by so fast. I lose track of how long it's been since I've even talked to people. I haven't seen much of any friends lately. I did go out with Abby for her birthday last week. She's doing well. I believe her email address is. By the way, my volleyball team placed second in a tournament on October 15th, and they played for the championship of our league and got second place out of 18 teams. I'm having all the girls over on Friday for a team party. And then Meg wrote back, hey, Teresa, congrats on your volleyball. Man, you kick ass. That's awesome. I am sure you feel good about that. Being a coach is awesome. Not too much else new here. I want to call you. It just seems easier to email sometimes. There has been a lot of drama at work lately with staff members. Nothing involving me, thank God, but it's just a little more hectic lately. I hope you have a great party on Friday night. Any news about men in your life? What about Ryan? Smiley, smiley, you never know, smiley. This is October 26th, 2005.
Yeah, seems like
5 days before Teresa disappears. And her friend seems to be asking her, well, what about Ryan? Is there a
yeah.
phone call that we're missing between the two that maybe she said she was getting back together with Ryan? Why all of a sudden the pickup and phone calls in October? What is going on between Teresa and Ryan after that email where she's basically saying there's been nobody since then? She seems lonely. Is it possible she tried to get back together with Ryan during the month of October? Is that
Well,
a possibility?
that might have been the time that Nosy said that I'm not going to repeat because we'll get the chat all going again. But you know about the D part. So
It's true.
yeah,
It's
I
true.
mean,
yeah, it might have been just she was lonely and
and
yeah,
just
but I
wanted to
find
have
it
a little
yeah,
bump in the night.
yeah, but I like I said, I do find it, really funny that there hasn't been like no talk about it, and then she's kind of talking about it. Now her friend is bringing it up. So did they say something at the party or who knows,
Well, we don't even know if Ryan was at that party on the 21st.
Yeah, but did she talk to her friend at the
Yeah, we
party?
don't. I don't
Yeah.
know because her friend is in Kansas, I believe. So
Yeah.
this friend won't be with her at a party in Wisconsin, most likely.
There could have been a chain line of
Yes,
conversation.
that is very, very, very true because
Yeah.
they all grew up together and
Hmm.
they all seem to be best friends with each other, right?
Right.
All right, so let's get back into the timeline. We're going to talk about the 30th. We've gone from the 26th, where her friend's asking, "What about Ryan?" to the 30th. This is supposedly the last time he sees her. I'm just going to do the questions. Let's see. He gets questioned, "Did you talk with her or see her on Sunday?" Ryan says yes. And the question is, "Where was that at?" And he says, "At her house." They say, "And how did that come about?" "I just stopped by briefly. I was dropping something off for Scott, and she was just sitting there at her computer." "Do you know what time that was?" "I don't know." "I mean, are we talking morning, afternoon, night?" "I don't know." "You don't know? You don't remember at all?" "No." "And she was just sitting at her computer?" "Yes." "Did you talk to her at all?" "A little bit, yes." Now, the night before Saturday night was sort of Halloween weekend. There would be parties, bar parties, house parties, whatever. Did you chit chat at all about that? On Sunday, we just talked, and she had mentioned that she had a cowgirl hat and she was going to dress up like a cowgirl. And that was pretty much the extent of it. This was what? I'm sorry, Saturday or Sunday? And he says Sunday. And then I want to just point this out in one of his in his pre-trial hearing. They asked him, "And did you spend time over there?" And he says, "Did you spend time over there dinner, watching TV or a movie or something?" And Ryan answered occasionally yes. Well, Ryan's dropping something off for Blow Dorn while Teresa's sitting in front of her computer. Nobody asked, "What was it? How long did you stay?" Nothing. Nothing was ever asked of him. But on his records, he does show that called Scott Blodorn. Scott Blodorn called back 10 minutes later, and about an hour and a half later, he did call Family Video. And then there was nothing for the rest of the night. So is it possible that him and Scott decided it was Sunday night and they were going to watch a video at Blade Orange, which was Teresa's house? Because he does spend time over there for that stuff sometimes. I don't know if this is the next one. Okay. Karen. This is Karen's testimony from Brendan. Let's make a timeline for her on the 30th. When could Ryan have seen her? So we have Teresa stating she's back into her Christianity and she's enjoying being back and reaching out to her Christian beliefs. So let's say it's Sunday. She went to church. If she went to church, it would have been about 11 a.m. The services were for her church at St. John Sacred Heart, which was down the street from her house. And it was at 11 a.m. And then Karen talks about what she did the rest of the day. "I'm going to direct your attention to Sunday, October 30th. Do you remember that day?" And she says, yes. "Could you tell the jury what you remember about it?" And she says, my dad's birthday is October 31st, Halloween. So the day before, my whole family got together at his house and we just celebrated his birthday during the day." "Was Teresa in attendance at the party?" "Yes, she was." "Were the rest of the siblings there as well?" "Yes, they were." "What happened that night, if you recall?" And she says, "That night, we milked cows, and then Teresa came home about 7 because Extreme Makeover Home Edition was coming on, and she wanted to watch it with the girls." "She was at your house?" "Right, at our house." "All right, do you know what time Teresa left your home on the 30th?" And she said, "I would say it was after 10." So, of course, we see Teresa at home with her cell phone pings um, between like 4:41 and 5:40. So, could he have stopped by during that time and saw Teresa sitting at her computer? It's possible. But for most of the day, she's not home. I would think they went to church. Church probably ended at like what? Let's say 1. Have a party for your grandfather for the family. Let's say it's a Sunday between, let's say what, 1, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock for a small party for your grandparent. And then at 7 o'clock, she's already at the house, and they do Extreme Makeover was on, Desperate Housewives, Grey's Anatomy up until 10 o'clock. So she most likely watched all those shows with her sister. So when is he seeing her sit in front of her computer? Well, it just so happens that she printed out her day planner at 10:29 on the 30th, which puts her in front of her computer. So I'm just curious if this is when he sees her at 10:30 at night. What's he doing there so late at 10:30 at night to drop something off at Scott Bladorn's? Any thoughts, questions?
I don't see really too many. I mean, basically, just the same we were talking about before. It could
Okay.
be, wonder, nothing
So
too much.
I'm going to read this little bit. This is from trial because this is a contradicting he's saying at trial about being over at Teresa's house. He's saying, I wouldn't say quite a bit. Once a week? Occasionally. Once a week, maybe. Okay. Okay, over that time, would it be fair to say that you became accustomed with Teresa's habits and routines generally? No, I wouldn't say that. Well, did you know, for instance, she was a homebody? Did she like to go out? She kind of did what she wanted. Sometimes I would go over there and, not see her the 3 times that I stopped that week. And the following week, I could go there and I would be there 3 nights in a row and she would be there every night. Just depended. Well, was it once a week maybe, or was it 3 times a week? Within a
Yeah,
matter of 3 questions, he changed his story.
well, he can't even tell day from night, so
Well, maybe that's because he's there 3 times a week and not once.
agree.
Okay. So then the following day, there's no calls for 6 hours in the morning. He ends up calling. So he's like, nothing's happening for him during the day that we can tell from 9:41 a.m. to 3:48 p.m. And then he retrieves his voicemail. Like, wouldn't you know if there would be a voicemail placed on your phone during those 6 hours that, like, wouldn't you know that there were no calls? Because I mean, why wouldn't you know if there was a call on your phone and that you would check your voicemail to see if one happened? Like, maybe if you're in an area that doesn't have really good service. Just asking. And then at 3:50, he called his sister Tara. There's some other calls in here, but he doesn't really talk to many of them. And then he has that incoming call from Fauna. So he's talking to her for 23 minutes. This is supposedly during a time when Teresa has been missing, right? Like since 4:35 when her phone stopped pinging, she is considered missing in their eyes. The last 2 calls on the 31st were with Scott Blodorn, and then there's 18 hours of no use, no calls at all, where you want to say somebody has time to get rid of evidence. 18 hours is a good time, don't you think?
That's
Yeah.
always bothered.
And then his only calls really on the first would be he calls the license board. He hasn't had his license yet. He's calling his parents' landline at 4:02 p.m., which means he's not at home because he's living with his parents. So where is he? Why is he calling his parents? Then he calls Scott Blodorn at 6:33, and then at 6:42 he calls Teresa Halbach. And then 15 hours of silence again. Now, the call Well, I'm just going to put this in there. He did get his license eventually on 12/21/2005. So you guys know he was not working. He was not a licensed nurse. He was unemployed, not in school, and had nothing to do on Monday, October 31st, 2005. And by his phone records, he did nothing, right? Because there's no calls during the day.
Right. And wasn't he? I mean, he was like active on his phone with his friends, and throughout different hours. So I find it really,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just too suspicious for me.
Plus, he usually called her on Mondays and didn't call her on Monday. Why was that?
Yeah.
The weeks before, he always called her on a Monday for 3 weeks prior to that. So all of a
Yeah.
sudden, the pattern changed.
Very consistent in his calling just before that too. Yep.
Right. You never talked with her on the phone after that. And he says no. I guess I cut part of that off on accident. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you never called her. He says no. Well, that's not correct. I did call her somewhere in the middle of the week. I did not get an answer, and her voicemail box had said that it was full. Okay, do you remember what day that was? No, I don't. Thursday or Wednesday? He's like, I called her Thursday when I realized she was missing, and I believe I called her once earlier in the week. So he did call her earlier in the week. He called her at 6:42 p.m. for 4 seconds, the duration, and in Casey's motion and at trial, they mentioned the deleted voicemails. So I'm going to read Kathleen's little message here because Kathleen found more deleted email or deleted voicemails than what Buting and Strang had talked about at trial. So it says Miss Hallbach's voicemail had a 20 message capacity, and a review of her records and other witness records indicates that 5 of Miss Hallbach's voicemails were deleted on the 31st, and another 11 voicemails were deleted before 7:12 a.m. on November 2nd, 2005. Singular wireless voicemail plan detailed attached and incorporated here within Exhibit A. Ryan Hillegas called Miss Hallbach at 6:42 p.m. on November 1st, and her voicemail box was full. Ryan Hillegas phone records attached incorporated herein as Exhibit B. The state's expert testified that a password was required to access Halbach's voicemail from a different phone line. Miss Halbach's Motorola Razr featured one-touch dialing for voicemail, which would allow anyone in possession of her cell phone to access her voicemail. Five, mo- 5 voicemails deletions occurred on October 31st, 2005, and 11 additional deletions were made prior to 7:12 on November 2nd, and Miss Hallbach's disappearance was not reported until November 3rd, 2005. So that makes the last person to call Teresa's phone on the 2nd was Hillegas, and by the morning when she got voicemails. So is it possible that Ryan accessed her phone from his own to delete 11 voicemails from her phone? In my opinion, if it was done not necessarily because they were his voicemails, but he didn't want the voicemail box to be full too soon, because as soon as that voicemail box became full is when people started asking questions where Teresa Halbach was. So I honestly believe that he may have deleted the voicemails, and he did it before she was even reported missing. So why would he be in her phone and accessing voicemails to delete them prior to her being reported missing, unless he had some knowledge of something that happened to her? What do you guys think?
I I agree. I mean, that was kind of shocking to me when I seen that, and the way you explained it. It's like, yeah, okay, you're doing deletions in the morning
I
before
want
she's reported.
to. He's doing them in the evening, the day after she's gone.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
So and then he takes another 15 hours of no time calling anybody between that call and other calls that happen on the 2nd or whatever, right? So he's the last person to call her. Nobody can ever explain these deleted voicemails to me. I don't feel like Bobby had access to the voicemails at all via calling to her phone and dialing. There's no record of him ever calling her phone up until the 1st. So I don't think it was Bobby. So that leaves him.
Right.
And
Jeff,
he does know her password as he does access it, right?
right. Jeff Jones says,
Yeah.
I bet Ryan was in her voicemails passwords for weeks,
Nah,
if not
years.
months.
Years.
Years,
Years.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's
it
a
could be
control freak.
years.
He
You're
was
right,
watching
because he
everything
was a
she was doing.
stalker guy, you know? Yeah, I don't think she's doing anything privately I don't know about. What?
Well, remember,
You
he said
know?
that too in trial testimony or pretrial testimony that
Right.
she doesn't, but then he states in this one that like he doesn't know her whole routine and everything. So which one is it? Do you know her routine or don't you know her routine?
Exactly.
Which one is it, Ryan? You can't seem to make up your mind. And that's a problem for me.
Not just you.
Well,
I think a lot of us have that issue.
so this is the actual, let's move on to the third when they're actually doing the printouts of her. They do access her voicemail, right? Her telephone records. Somebody accessed her voicemail. They said it was to be Mike, but Ryan supposedly accessed her stuff online. Um, and I'm going to read some excerpts from the Uyghur and Lemieux's reports from the third. Scott allowed us to enter the residence and showed us Teresa's room. Scott and several of their mutual friends had located Teresa's most recent cell phone activity report on her computer. It was on the internet, not just on her computer. They printed a copy for us, which showed the last cell phone activity at 2:27 p.m. on Monday, 10/31/05. It appeared, when looking at the minutes used history, that Teresa had made phone calls to each of her appointments prior to her arrival that day, which I want to point out the 5 deleted voicemails on the 31st were more than likely the voicemail she was receiving that day that she was promptly deleting. So that means she had saved messages on her phone, probably 11 of them, that had to be deleted because most of the people who called and left messages were still messages, except one person I actually remember seeing. I'll have to double check that one because I don't have that on here. It should be noted, this is from Uyghur's report. It should be noted Scott and several of Teresa's friends had also arrived at the scene at the time. They did print us a copy of Teresa's cell phone activity from Teresa's computer. I love how they just say from Teresa's computer. Like, to me, that bugs me because it's not like they just got on her computer and she happened to have her record on there. No, they accessed her account on the internet. They hacked her account and they just found it on the computer. It should be noted Teresa would use Singular Wireless as her cellular phone provider. Teresa's phone numbers for cell phone would be blah blah blah. The last phone listed, they go through a bunch of these things, indicated an incoming call from Auto Trader. She called voicemail. She called George Zipper. She called the Schmitz residence. These are her appointments. But when it comes down to the last line of this report, but only in this area of the report, okay? Like everywhere else, he does not mention Stephen Avery at all. He mentions B. Janda or Barb Janda. Even later, he mentions Barb Janda. But for some reason, when he gets this printed out thing, he is telling people the next previous phone call would have been on 10/31 at 11:43 a.m. to Stevens to the 8715 number, and he put it lists to Stephen Avery. At that time, that phone listed to Tom Janda.
I'm sorry, y'all. I know some of y'all hear the truth train. I'm muting. My bad.
Oh, that's all right. Hoot, hoot. Anyway, um, so I'd like to know who gave him the name Stephen Avery because, excuse me, guys, because Stephen Avery was not mentioned only in this part of his report. If you go read the rest of his report, even when he talks to Colburn, he says that was Barb Janda. He does not say it was Stephen Avery. But for some reason, during this little thing where they're doing all the phone calling for the officers, right? Because they're looking into everything for them before they even arrive. it's listing to Stephen Avery. So I suspect one of the friends listed that number to Stephen Avery, even though the reverse directory came up to Tom Janda. Even Deirdre found out it came back to Tom Janda. So that begs the question how he was able to tell Colburn to go to Stephen Avery's house as well, because somebody told him that.
Yeah,
And it has to be these friends of Teresa's that did all this research for them, in my opinion. I don't know for sure, but that's how I see it. It's like it's weird that it's only in this part about her friends and doing the reverse directories on her phone. I would love to see if she, I wonder if they like we don't I hate the computer records. I would love to get the actual discs and reopen those and see what they left out from her computer records. Anyway, moving on. Mr. Hillegas finding her cell phone. How does something like that occur? How did you do that? Well, there were a couple of us that tried figuring it out. Basically figured out her password and made up a username that worked and got into her phone records and printed it right off. Had you known at the time she hadn't been seen since October 31st? Basically, I knew that she was missing. I didn't know she hadn't been seen by anybody, but I knew that she was missing or decided that she was missing at that point. After printing off or getting access to her cell phone records, I assume to her account through her cell phone provider, were you able to provide the information to law enforcement authorities? And he says, yes. Again, who told him it was Stephen Avery? Did you know her voicemail password? He says, no. Did you ever? So you didn't call and listen to her voicemail at all? No. Never? No. Never did that day or before? No. Or since? Okay. And she had never shared her password with you for the online records either? No. So you just went online to Singular Wireless or whatever.com and just guessed her password? Well, me and Kelly Pitson, had just kind of figured that it would fairly be something related to her sisters. I think it was their birthdays that got the info for us. Now, I want to make a note that he actually called the AT&T or Singular customer service 3 times on the 3rd, and I think it was before they actually accessed the emails or printed them out, I should say. He also called. There was also an incoming call from Kelly Pitson at that time at 516. So it seems like Kelly's not with them when he's actually making these calls to the AT&T. Was this a show to like the people that were there? Like, look, I'm trying to figure out her password. Did he really not know it? I have a hard time believing he didn't know her password. I mean, dating 5 years, and you kind of just know things about people.
And he himself said there wasn't too much that she did, like
right.
He knew everything about
we weren't private with her.
And I think it's a perfect cover up for him to look like he didn't know by doing how this event happened. I really do.
In a way, he's covering his tracks.
Right, exactly. And he's a calculated person anyway.
I think so.
Yeah.
So, and then this is just from her individual B, her very first thing, where she says 3 calls replaced a Singular customer service account and password assistance line. And as you can see, it's at 518. I'll go back real quick. The printout, if you look at the top here, it says, where did it say it? I know it says it in here somewhere. 5:49 p.m. it was printed out. So those calls were definitely done before they printed out the record. So I don't know if it's him playing cover up or if he actually did call them and they did give them access. And then why ain't anybody talking to Singular about them just giving away people's information? That's like me calling, being like, yeah, my boyfriend's missing. Can I have his password?
It's like it's literally what he did.
If not, maybe he was asking them, how do I see her records online? Where do I go? Because he had the password. Maybe they were trying to find out her name. So I just want to point this out too. I've had AT&T. I had AT&T up until 2 years ago. Okay. And I had AT&T since then, like back then I had AT&T. I had Singular. And for me, when I would go to my website to sign in, I mean, even now on my T-Mobile, what you use for your account name is your phone number. You put in your phone number and then they ask you for your password. And you know what my password was? Even up until 2019, 2020, my 4-digit password I used for my voicemail. So
Yeah, people were making it easy.
if he had the password to get onto her account, he didn't make no account name. The account name was her phone number, and maybe he needed to figure that out by calling AT&T, but the password was going to be the same password as her voicemail. So I find that very, very interesting. Like, I don't even think they asked Mike how he got the password, because he supposedly listened to the voicemails after the fact. But who listened to them the first between the second when they actually started leaving voicemails again? That could only be this one person. I'm sorry. That's all I see. And if he deleted the voicemails, he's a perp.
I definitely think he deleted. Happy deleter.
Right. So at trial, he talks about on the third, were there other friends or other family members who were assisting you in the search effort? And he goes, yeah, it was me, Scott Bladorn, one of her girlfriends, Kelly, and came over. And a little later, her friend Lisa came over as well. And they said, about how long did that evening did you work on this project? And he goes, well, for the good portion of the night, probably, I guess, until like midnight, 1 a.m., we were calling friends and other people we didn't get a hold of and people that were finally returning calls later, better portion of the night. But if you actually look at his record, he didn't really call a lot of her friends. I mean, he's calling. Let's start at 4:09 when he finds out she's missing and made that call. He gets the call from Scott, and then Teresa he calls. Then he calls Kelly, calls a friend named Trish that's not even in the area. She's in Minnesota. Kelly again, Trish. Then some of these other ones I didn't highlight are his friends that he talks to every day or all the time. So I'm not they're incoming, most of them too. So it's not like he's calling them to find about Teresa. Trisha again. Then he called that Megan, who the emails are from. And then Amanda Waite calls. He doesn't call her. She calls back. I don't see any of that coming in at all. He calls the AT&T customer service. Kelly Pitson's calling. Tara Blohayek, which is his sister. He calls Bioplasma Life. Mark Hillegas, his parents. I mean, is he hoping to find Teresa at his parents' house? Doctors for Life, an incoming call from a prepaid phone card, which I found odd. Tina Mills calls him. Now, Tina Mills is Teresa's most called phone number on her record. That, to me, is her best friend. But he doesn't even call her. She ends up hearing about it and calling Ryan. He calls the parents one time in 2 days. And then a couple more calls from some of his regular friends. Grewitt again, Pitson again, his parents again. Grewitt again, his parents again. He called Bradley Check. Go watch Ryan Hillegas, Riddle Me This Part 1. There's all a whole thing about this Bradley Check call at 9:34. And then at 10:44, he's making the last call to Amber. I don't know if that's actually, I believe that's the right name, but somebody else came up with another name, so I could be wrong on that name. So I'm just going to point that out. I'm wrong a lot, so it happens. But 10:44, he's done. Where's this 12 o'clock, midnight, 1 a.m.? You know, who did he call? He barely called anybody. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I don't know. Kelly and them didn't call very many people either. So where are all these, all this work he's saying that he's doing for this search? He's calling his parents. Is he calling his parents to make it look like he's busy doing work because he knows that she's nowhere to be found? Why so many calls to his parents? I think that's weird. He don't call them that much any other time. Not to mention, if he was home when he got the call that Teresa was missing and his parents were there, wouldn't you just tell him then? Well, let's talk about what his alibi is, because this is like pretty much the only alibi you'll get from either Blodorn or Ryan. done on 2 different days, but both in front of each other.
Well, Kratz has got one for him.
We'll get into that too. I then responded to Teresa's residence, and Scott stated he had talked to Teresa last on Sunday afternoon about 2 p.m., which is bullshit because she was at a family party with her friends or her family. Okay. I asked him what they had talked about, to which Scott stated that they had talked about Halloween parties that they had both attended over the weekend. I asked Scott if she had talked about what was going on to be doing on Halloween, to which Scott stated she did not mention anything to him. Scott states they are just roommates and they do not check in with each other and only talk if they happen to meet each other in the house. He states they basically both live their own lives out of that house. So then let's check Ryan's alibi the day after he hears Scott say this.
Oh, not the alibi that Kratz gave him?
No.
That's what I
Upon
said.
upon arrival, I met with Ryan Hillegas along with several other friends that were at her residence. Ryan stated the last time he had seen Teresa Hallback was on Sunday the 30th. Ryan stated she seemed completely normal, and they had talked about Halloween parties. Remember, that's not what he said. He said that she wore a Halloween hat and was going to a party the last time she talked to her at trial. So here is a switch up from his original statement. He also told me Teresa was in very good spirits. Ryan described Teresa as being extremely independent. He told me he has known Teresa since they were freshmen in high school and they had dated off and on for approximately 5 years during that time. Let's also mention that off and on stuff, okay? Because if your relationship is really good, do you go on and off and on and off and on and off, or the off that you have to get back on again? Because I don't ever see any of that. But I want to mention this because he changes his testimony from just talking about Halloween parties to the cowgirl outfit. Now, he was with them at her house when Walgarak, whatever, saw her last and mentioned the cowgirl outfit. He was there. And not 6 months later, he starts talking about this cowgirl outfit. And he says to Blood Simple, which was a Milwaukee Magazine article on Stephen Avery done in like April or May of 2006. And it says, on the Sunday before she disappeared, Hillegas ran into Teresa at a friend's house. Not at her house, at a friend's house. Halbeck told him she planned to join her family at a bar in Appleton for a Halloween party. She was dressed as a cowgirl. So for me, what I see from him is he's not giving his alibi. He's giving the alibi that seems most truthful by what other people have said. So with Scott, he hears Scott, I talked to her on the 30th. We talked about parties. Ryan says, I talked to her on the 30th. We talked about parties. All of a sudden, there's a cowgirl outfit. He starts talking about this cowgirl outfit and a party she was supposed to be going to with her family at a bar in Appleton. Well, that would say that he saw her before she went to the party for the family, which means he would have been there between the 4:40 and 5:50 hour when she was pinging her thing before she goes to her mom's. But I have a hard time believing that at all. Anyway, let's talk about the scratches that were on his hands. I informed Ryan, these are the scratches. He had scratches on his left hand, and if you look at his right undercarriage of his pinky and his fist, it almost looks like he had his fist closed and was pounding on something that it bruised his pinky knuckle, his finger knuckle,
His palm.
his hand,
Yep.
the side of his palm.
Yep.
If you look at the side of his head, this is the 4th. So this is, let's say, 4 days after she disappeared. He's got this bruise on the side of his cheek. But when they went and talked to him in 2017, they asked him about this. He says, I informed Ryan that a motion was filed by Kathleen Zellner, which referenced him having scratches on his hand. I asked Ryan if he could recall having scratches on his hand during the time Teresa went missing. Ryan explained to me that what people were interpreting as scratches on his hand on some videos that he was seen on are actually writings that he had on his hand. Ryan stated he observed the video where he had writings on his hand, and then a video showing the following day that the writing was gone. Well, he wasn't on the news on the 5th or the 6th that I recall, because that is when they found the RAV, and they're totally talking to everybody in law enforcement at that time.
And
So
it
the
doesn't
next,
look like writing. It
and
looks like
it doesn't look
not
like
at
writing
all.
to me. No, it looks like scratches to me. It looks like three scratches, like the pinky was just not long enough, and she got off three scratches on his hand.
And bruising. It
And
definitely.
the bruising, what does he explain the bruising? Is that also ink?
Yeah.
Uh, Plus, I want to make a note. Like, if you look at this little pen in his hand, he's got a blue pen, not a red hand, not a red pen,
Not
and that
brown,
is
not yet.
definitely red on his
And
hand.
that's a pen. It's not like a marker size. So
Right.
if that, if you're using that little ballpoint pen, you'd have to be scratching over yourself a couple times. And it doesn't look like any letters. It looks
No.
like lines,
Right.
you know.
Three even lines.
Well, yeah.
So I just threw those in there. Let's see what I have next. I wanted to throw up this picture because people are like, well, how do you know she even had nails that she could scratch him? Well, here you go. Here's nails.
Yep.
Teresa did have
And
small nails.
and just to make a note of it, as long as you have any nail on your hand and they're not bitten up to your knuckle, which would have to be, you can still scratch somebody.
Right. So I just wanted to put that in there to show that she does have fingernails that could possibly do some scratching. All right, this
There
is
we
going to
go.
be the difficult part because I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear this on your end. So I guess we'll just give it a go, and then you and YouTube, if you guys can't hear it, let me know. Let
Like
Linda or Nosy know,
put a one in the chat.
and then I can do it from StreamYard, but I'll have to close this to do it. So just let me know if you guys can hear this.
How many times were you on the site today? You were there Saturday when they found the car, but how many other times were you on the site?
You were never. I wasn't on the site. That's not true at all.
Did you guys were Mike? Were you part of the on the site search?
No, the people. I mean, the original when we originally found the vehicle was a member of our search party. It was a member of our
who
search
asked for
party.
permission to go onto the site, but no one other than that has ever been on the
On the actual site, it's been crime scene and taped off, secured.
Yeah, they heard it.
You were able to hear that? Okay. So everybody remembers that interview. That interview was on the 10th in front of her house. I threw some extra pictures in here so you can see. This is W Bay News, the 10th, wearing the same outfit, standing in the same area. Couple pictures of him. And I just want to say, a lot of people think that this look Mike gives Ryan, this bottom picture here is Mike is in on it. Mike knows. Mike is looking at Ryan to say, hey, shut your mouth, right? That nobody needs to know who was on the property. And to me, I don't see that. What I
I don't
see
either.
is him asking, did you? Did you go
Yep.
on the property on
Yep.
any other days? Because I got to look at you to size you up because I don't know if I trust what you're about to say. That's
I
how
agree.
I see this with
I,
him.
I agree. I think he looks like surprised. Like, what?
Like,
Say, what did
wait,
you say?
wait, you were on the property on other days other than the day they found the car? Wait, really? What? You did? Did you? What? That's how I see his face. I see it as that. I don't see it as a friend reaching out to another friend to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, well, that's what Jeff Jones says. He says, I agree, Jinx. He was trying to read Ryan. And then Jennifer Manning says, Mike looks like, what the fuck?
Right. And I want to point out that there was only one phone call on Ryan's record for the whole month of October. And it's not even Ryan calling him.
Right.
It is Mike calling him on the 4th at 1:32 p.m. And it's him calling him most likely to ask about the searches that Ryan is putting together on the 4th. So there's not this great relationship that I see between Mike and Ryan, that Mike and Ryan would go and hide a body together. I
Right.
don't see that. That is not what I see with these two people.
Right. Sean says he looks puzzled. And Paul Ward says he looked like, shut up, don't say anymore.
Okay, so you still think he says, shut up, don't say anymore. So let's go into, did he lie? Was he on the property at all ever after it was, crime scened off and secure, as he says at the end?
Yep.
So we have the 7th. We know they were all out there as civilian searchers on the 7th, right? We all know that. That's the day Cuss Road happens. It's a strange day that day. Well, they were out there, and what you have is Ryan Hillegas and Scott Blade Dorn went onto the property, and they didn't sign out for 50 minutes on the 7th. Then later in the evening or afternoon, you see Ryan and Scott sign out again the second time, but no sign in. So how long were they on the property the second time that they were on the property that evening? Because there is no login. It's just logging out. And that was at 4:28. So I find that very suspicious that they were able to get on the property without having to log in. Don't you?
Yeah, super suspicious.
So this is the 7th, right? He's back in the news. He's back on the scene with the media. And
I mean, who does that? Who allows, the
civilians, why
ex-boyfriend?
did they meet them down at the corner?
Yeah.
Why did they have to come up to a secured location to talk to law enforcement?
Right. That I just never heard of that. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
So,
think about the Gabby Petito case. I mean, his fucking parents found him because they were just letting people like go search, go find them, go.
well, that's because they did not find them for how long, though.
Yeah.
But then you have Ryan's on the news on the 7th. This is him doing his searches. He's got his red flags. And I bring this picture in because this picture does depict the left hand a little bit. This is now 3 days after the one from the 4th where you see the very prominent scratches on his hands. And to me, it's hard to say. Are they healing scratches? They still look like scratches to me. They still look red in some of this area right between his thumb and his pointer finger. But I can't tell if it's a scratch, if it's healing. He is a nurse or going to be a nurse. So I'm going to say he knows how to heal himself maybe a little faster than somebody just getting scratched and not giving a crap and just putting a Band-Aid on it, He probably
To me looks
uses
like it's healing, kind of, because if you look at even the further picture where he's, the one not so close up, it's still, you can still prominently see that. So
right. So
yeah,
I'm not sure if that was
it's a guess.
actually writing on his hand. It actually looks like a scratch still to me. So I wanted to point that out. But the point is he lied. He lied to Mike Halbach on that video. He lied to the people on that property asking him the questions when he said he was not on that property after they found the car, because he sure as hell was. And he was again on the 8th. He signed in at 8:41 and he left at it's not 8:41. That's 6:41, and he left at 7:07 p.m. on the 8th. So he was also out there on the 8th. And this is just a map that I had found, and it has RH's initials on it. I'm guessing this is somewhere he's showing there's some flags he put out or whatnot. It says individual B accessed property twice on November 7th and once on November 8th after their property was closed to the public. So, let's see. I don't know if I think this is still from the 2017 thing. I asked Ryan if he recalled being on the Avery property during the time law enforcement was restricting access to the property due to the ongoing search of the property. Ryan stated he recalled being on one of the search teams on 11705 that was searching across the road from Avery's property. And he believes Ryan was referring to the area across the street from 147. Ryan stated he and Scott Bladorn were brought into the restricted area and were escorted to the command center that was established on site. Ryan stated they presented and showed maps of the areas that were searched to law enforcement officials. Ryan stated he and Scott were in the area where the activity searching was taking place by law enforcement for approximately 15 minutes. Maybe on the 8th, but not on the 7th. Ryan stated he was always with law enforcement during the time he was within the say that word, damn it, perimeter established by law enforcement on the Avery property compound. Ryan stated that he was not allowed to roam the area freely. Ryan stated he was not exactly sure what had taken place on which day. Ryan stated he may have actually been searching across the road on the 7th or the 8th and was unsure which day. But we know that we don't know if he roamed the place freely because when he entered the property the second time on the 7th, nobody did anything. Nobody signed him in. How long did they roam freely before they said, "Hey, can I help you? All right, you can go now," and then signed him out? How long were they freely roaming the area? I hate this case. So let's go to the 7th and his map that he did. This is written by Ryan Hillegas. At one time when I got this, I said, let's check to see if it matches the Sicky letter. So I
This
did
blew me
some
away. I just want to say,
comparisons
yeah.
of the Sicky letter. I was talking to, I know me and TikTok Manitowoc on Twitter had this conversation, and he actually posted this a couple of years ago. So I am just reposting it. This was some work I did. I compared the letters. The letters in white are from the Sicky, and the letters that are in the colored paper are definitely from his map. So I went through and I looked at the R's and the Y's and the O's and the E's and the A's and the 3's and the W's and the I's and the S's and the D's. And you know what I see? I see some comparisons. I see some comparisons with the Y's. I see some with the O's, the R's, the E's, the A's, the I's. The W I'm not quite sure about because the W seems like it might be, might not be,
It
might be
looks like it to
switched.
me.
I'm not quite sure. The looping in the D's and the big top S and the bottom being smaller. So I suspect that it's possible that maybe Ryan did write the Sicky letter to point at
Yep.
Avery. Now I don't know if it was supposed to point at Avery or if it was addressed to Avery because it's addressed to Manitowoc Sheriff Avery, right? Like, or was it, maybe it was addressed to Arland Avery, but it says body was burned up in aluminum smelter, 3 a.m. Sometimes I actually think that this might be two people writing it, like switching off just to give it a little more edge. But one thing I was doing, one night I was falling asleep and I don't know why it came to me. I just thought, man, what if Sicky stands for Tara RJH? And then it fits, S, you turn S into T, I into A, K into R, E into J, Y into H, and it comes out Tara RJH. Tara is the name of Ryan's sister, who he called after being silent for 6 hours during the time that Teresa may or may not have been being killed or kidnapped or whatever. And that is who he calls. He calls his voicemail, and then he calls his sister. And that, if he, in my opinion, if he is the perp and he needed help to hide a body or set someone up, you're going to call the people closest to you. Where you might want to call Scott Blodorn, you might not. You might want to call your family first because your family is your family. And they can fuck you or they can totally support you. And with Ryan's family, I just see him coming to them and saying, "Look, I killed Teresa in an accident. What do I do?" And being as Mark Hillegas has somewhat of a connection to Peg Lautenschlauter from the 80s, I can kind of see this being as something that may have happened to cover up you know, what he did. I don't think, in my opinion, if he killed her, it was total heat of the moment, passion, got caught stalking her or something, had a fight, whacked her in the head.
Jealousy. Yep.
It wasn't a sex crime at all, in my opinion. But I posted this little picture down here of Teresa and Tara because look how close they were. They were eating a pickle together. So this is my idea on Sicky. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
It's
Interesting
plausible.
enough. Interesting
know?
enough. Not to mention, I want to make this mention too about the Sicky letter. Oh, I clicked off of it. Um, the Sicky letter was found in Green Bay, right? It could have come from any of the mailboxes in the surrounding areas because it comes to the facility. They dump all of the bags they take from the local postal boxes. You can dump your mail in on any corner, and they all go on a conveyor belt and they get read usually by something. And this one was not stamped, had a funky address, so it got pulled in Green Bay. Who is from Green Bay? Oh, that's right. Tara and her husband. Just saying, just saying.
Just another little link, right?
Yeah. How far are we? How long have we been going? Should we cut now and talk about some stuff? Should I keep going?
We're
Keep
at
going.
1 hour and 31 minutes.
Yeah.
Really? Already? Jesus
Yep.
Christ. I'm done.
Yep.
Let's go. I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Part 2 later. I'm just kidding.
Oh, this is part 2, Ding Dong.
Part 3 later. Part 3. How are you guys doing in the chat? I can't see you guys. How are the viewers? Are they doing okay?
The chat's going good. Lots of conversation.
Yep, it's fine.
Conversation that I don't know about.
Keep going,
Everyone
they
said
say. Keep going,
everyone
keep
said
going,
keep
keep going, they're saying.
Oh, God. Okay.
Keep going.
Let's go back to Ryan's testimony and stuff. Let me ask you something, Mr. Hillegas. Why would you center or why would you direct some of your search efforts around the Avery property? Well, mostly for the fact that, the media had covered so much of it. All you heard about was around the Avery property. And I believe at that point, we had known that, her last kind of whereabouts were in those necks of the woods. So even as an untrained law enforcement officer, oh, this is Kratz, you knew to look for the last place she was seen alive. Is that right? And he says yes. He goes, tell us then what the family and friends of Teresa planned for Saturday the 5th, November. Teresa had a good friend. Oh, this is from Karen's testimony. Teresa had a good friend, Ryan Hillegas. Like, she Ryan Hillegas. This is the mom, right? Like, this is her ex-boyfriend. Ryan Hillegas. And he got a group of people together at Teresa's house, and they organized searches in the area in Manitowoc County where she was last seen, or her last 3 appointments on Monday. So they wanted to search them areas for sure. And they searched all along the roadways, under bridges. Our main thought was that she had a car accident, and I think that's what they focused on. So they were thinking she was in a car accident. I just thought that was kind of interesting. And then it says, I just put this in bigger. So as an untrained law enforcement officer, you knew to look where the last place she was seen, right? So here is Kratz admitting he's a untrained law enforcement agent. And he'll mention it too. He does in the paper. This says, Hillegas worked closely with the police. He meets with them daily. They tell him the areas to search and what would be helpful and what would be getting in the way. And he says he's in touch with them by cell phone. Hillegas has no background in law enforcement. He studied nursing in school and is currently unemployed. Everything he knows about conducting searches and rescue operations is he's learned in the last few days. Advice from cops or has seen on TV. So I just think it's funny that his untrained law enforcement agents is coming from TV. Okay. And if he was really watching TV, he would know that the first person you focus on when someone goes missing is the ex-boyfriend and people who are close to her. So let's talk about his car. His car was red. Teresa's car had red paint on it. He had a Toyota Corolla. It had there's red paint in her bumper, which I blew up here, and you can kind of see it almost matches the same color red paint that Ryan's car is. No? There's
So,
also
can you hear me?
red paint over here. Huh?
Can you hear me?
Yes, say again?
Okay, am I breaking up?
No, you're not.
Yeah, so that was kind of being talked about in chat earlier, but Eric Banana Man made a point. He said it looked like to him, in his opinion, that it looked like she had hit something that was more stationary.
Okay, let's say Ryan's sitting at her house in the driveway when she pulls up, and she's a little pissed that this ex-boyfriend of hers has sat at her house all day without her or her roommate being there and hit his stationary car. Could that be possible? I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Could that be a possibility?
Yep.
Because to me, the accident is part of the crime.
I believe that too.
The reason I think that, and I will tell you why, is because the cast-off splatter of blood in the back of her RAV. To me, that is not planted blood. The blood in the front with Avery, planted. The blood in the back, natural.
Agree.
Which means that Teresa was in the back of her RAV with the door open when she was attacked. What better way to get her back there than putting that light back there? Not only would she be putting that light back there, she'd be with somebody possibly who had a weapon of some sort, like maybe a missing tool from her kit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kind of choked her out, got scratched on his hand, beat her down with his fist, and then whacked her with the tool he had.
Listen to you. Woo, yeah.
That is my theory. It's a theory. It hasn't been proven, but that is how I see what happened in the back of her RAV. And who would she allow to come to the back of her RAV during the middle of this? Is she going to allow some stranger without calling the police if it was an accident on the street? I highly doubt it. Okay, but somebody like Ryan, who she's having a heated discussion and fight with, her ex-boyfriend and good friend, he may be able to get her behind her car with the door open, with a weapon, while putting that light in behind. And what I think happened is she caught him stalking her in some way, or he was sitting at her house and she just was tired of this man being all over her house, all over her business, the excessive calls that month. Somebody said she was being called excessively. There was somebody calling her that she didn't want to talk to. The excessive calls from him start coming in October. So is he the excessive caller that Teresa really doesn't want to talk to? Is he trying to get back with her and she's denying him? Is he stalking her? Something happens there that it stops talking to them on the phone on the 25th. The friend is asking, what about Ryan on the 26th? And by the 31st, the RAV door was open and she was whacked in the head.
Okay. Now, Jeff, that's coming. Get to your next slide.
What's coming?
He says, and he lied about the car being repaired.
And he lied to the car, about the car to Fassbender just a month later. Fassbender ultimately spoke with Ryan Hillegas, a friend of Teresa Halbach's. I love how they keep saying a friend, because even she called him an ex-boyfriend.
Wait a minute, stop. They can't hear us.
They can't hear us. What happened?
I don't know.
What happened?
You hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Put a 1 in if you can hear us. Hear me.
I'm going to have to open.
I have to wait a minute because they got a delay.
Oh, well, come back next week. Bye-bye.
Oh, they can hear us. We're okay. Go ahead.
You can hear us? No, I was going to end it.
No, you're not going to end it. Let's get going here.
Oh,
no, this is the part Jeff was talking about. Very
true. Coming. I tried to do it in a timeline, kind of with everything collaborating all of this shit, all this shit's all together. I tried. I'm doing it.
Right.
I'm getting it. So Fassbender ultimately spoke with Ryan Hillegas, a friend of Teresa Hallbach's. Hillegas did some checking with the family and friends and reported back to S.A. Fassbender that Hallbach had, in fact, damaged the parking light area of her car and actually made an insurance claim. Hillegas advised that Hallbach took a cash payout for the damage and had not repaired it. So I want to know why he's going to Hillegas about her car when not her family. Why are they going to Hillegas for everything?
Well, because he was cooperating with them all the time. But the fact that he lied about that, when let's just point out that she made a claim on a windshield wiper. So this kind of thing would definitely have been claimed, right?
Well, especially if he's saying it was claimed. It was claimed that there should be a payout for the damage, that she cashed the check and did not repair it. There should be a cashed check, right? Like from them paying her out. So Zellner did go back and ask Erie Insurance, which was her company at the time, and it says, you served a subpoena in the above captioned action seeking any record for policy number at her policy listed to Teresa Hallbach reflecting a claim for damage to the driver's side parking light between 2003 and 2006. Pursuant to your subpoena, Erie has made a diligent and exhaustive search of its records and finds no such claims to have been presented under Erie policy number between the years 2003 and 2006 pertaining to Teresa Hallbach. As such, the Erie has no records to provide. So he lied to the officers about this damage. Why would he lie about the damage?
Yep.
Unless he knew the damage was going to be somehow connected to the crime.
Yep, that's what I think too.
My opinion, of course. Let's just remember, this is just my opinion. So, I just blew that up so you guys can see. Damage the parking light area of her car. Actually made an insurance claim. Is a butt-ass lie. Okay, next one.
Yep, I love that. Yeah, I love your slides.
So, did you give them any of those? We're moving on. We're moving on from the light.
Okay.
So did you give them any of those direct numbers? This is about Pam. I gave Pam Sturm, I gave her Jerry Pagel's number that morning. The cell phone coverage out in that area is absolutely horrid. And to get a call out, too, most of the time when I used my phone out there, I only had 30 seconds or a minute to talk before the phone cut you off. But I gave Pam that number, Jerry Pagel's number, that morning with the intent that if she was going into the car lot and needed to call somebody quick and get somebody out there, that would be the best way for her too. So he's already knowing something's going to be found out there, right? Because he's basically admitting it.
Okay. I got a question here from Sherry
Lynn,
and she says, I heard when I was listening to a radio call for you, some lady cop getting information on Teresa on the 3rd. She told dispatch she recognized the name Hallbach, and then she comes back down. And the next one is, she wondered if it was related to a domestic call from a couple weeks ago prior.
Well, I don't know about that. That's actually new information to me, Sherry. So maybe that's something we can look into together. I don't know.
Did I get the right one, Sherry?
I know there was also a call about something happening at a bar in some area in that time frame that they thought maybe she was part of, but I don't remember who it was. Somebody had actually done a search on that party and that bar fight, and it wasn't anybody related or connected to Teresa Hallbach. I am not quite sure about what this one is. This is a little different. I've never heard that before. So,
okay, I hope that was the right question.
Something to search. More to
yeah,
search.
It was the
Okay,
right
I'm telling you never get any fucking answers in this case.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, Jinx. Go ahead. I just wanted to make sure. She wanted to make sure that got asked. So, okay.
No worries.
Okay.
So, and then he goes, is she the only one you gave that personal phone number to? And he says, I believe so. So again, that morning he gave her the number because of the absolutely horrid phone coverage. Okay?
Yeah.
And why am I mentioning these? Let's see why.
Yep.
Because there's 22 dropped calls on the 4th between 3:11 p.m. and 7:25 p.m. And we know they're dropped because there's the D next to them. I believe that means dropped on his record.
Hmm.
And according to Zellner, which I don't know this because all I see is no call ID. That's all
Right.
we are able to see. But
Right.
somehow Kathleen Zellner did say that Ryan received approximately 22 calls from law enforcement on November 4th prior to the victim's vehicle being moved onto the property. And I put this other thing in because it does show that he total minutes not charged for drop calls was 2. And remember, it's horrid out there. So that means on the 4th that he may or may not have been in the Manitowoc area with bad service.
Is that a coincidence or what?
So going back to what Paul Ward said, maybe he found the car on the property on the 4th and reported it back. Or Kathleen's theory is a little like maybe he planted it on the property for the police officers. However, I am going to bring this up because I was talking about this earlier. It's like 3:11 is the first no call ID. And then there's none for like another hour.
Right.
And then they start coming in like 21 of them all in a row during a 2-hour period, no other calls or anything. But it's during a period on what is the 4th? The 4th would have been a Friday night. And if he's planting the vehicle during these hours, he's doing it during rush hour traffic.
Well, at least people coming back from work. I wouldn't call that area rush hour,
But
but
it's the
it is
time
very,
of
yes.
day when people are getting
Right.
off work and going home and driving around and getting to their houses, going out to dinner, coming home. It just seems, and plus you have businesses. I mean, think about it.
Yep.
The Avery salvage yard did not even close till 5 p.m.
Right.
So you
Oh,
have
well,
him coming and going on the property during business hours. People might be walking around the yard. You have a quarry in business next door where people are coming and going. What time did the quarry close? Are people coming and going from their jobs at the quarry? And he's
and
supposedly planting a rabbit this time, going through the quarry and planting it through the back. Could it
and well,
happen?
listen, it's
Yes.
not, even if it's not busy, that would make it even a little bit more suspicious because it's just turning dark then, so you can still see. So, it might be a very noticed vehicle. And I want to state that Eric Banana Man is quoting KZ saying likely law enforcement. Okay. He's
Yeah.
so particular.
That's what I say to you.
We love you, Nana Man.
Now I lost my thought. Damn it.
And well, yours says, Banana
Oh,
Man says more likely scouting around the Avery salvage yard, not planting the rab. And yours
right.
says RH was somewhere. His calls were roaming. In his opinion, he was not within his home tower.
That's right, because he was dropping calls, and we can see that
Right.
he was dropping calls. Another thing I want to point out about this time frame is Stephen Avery, at this point, is being looked at by
Right.
media. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
think about it. There is a media outlet, one if not more, that are
Right.
out on the property after dark on the 4th, talking to Stephen Avery, showing the van, showing the area. So if he's planting this car, he's doing it while there's media roaming around the yard. And to me,
Hide in plain sight.
I don't know. That's a little bit too much plain
Yeah,
sight.
I think so too. I do too. So there's really a lot that kind of like really points at Ryan, and then there's a few things that just kind of go, that might
Maybe.
not be it,
Right. Well, I can be wrong on a lot of this stuff. Let's
Oh,
just be
so could
honest.
I. But my
I
theory
am
is the same as
just
yours.
showing you what I see with my research, and that's it.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean,
And
I
it's
could be
good.
wrong. I could be wrong. I've been wrong. I'm actually been wrong about something recently, which I will be doing another video in the next couple of days to show you how wrong I have been. But
Yep.
anyway, let's continue. Let's continue. I don't want to read this whole article.
Yeah.
I think I made it bigger. Hillegas works closely with the police. He meets with them daily. Oh, I think I already told you about this one. Oh, sorry, guys. I made a double slide, guys. Oops. But as an officer of the law, an untrained officer of the law, when they go to Teresa's house to collect stuff, they don't get a warrant for her house. They have Ryan sitting there. Ryan states, these are some of the things Ryan states while he's being asked questions about Teresa. And this one is interesting because he can tell you that she previously lived at Monroe Avenue in Green Bay, and he stated she moved back and when she moved back, November 2004. He can even tell you November 2004, but he can't tell you when he last saw Teresa, morning, noon, or night. That was the end of his conversation with Ryan. Now, this is before they've done the test facts, right? So why didn't they just ask Ryan, do you know what Teresa's phone number was when she was living in Green Bay? Because I bet he would have come up with the Vax number from her house. I bet he would have known that. They also come back to him on another day, and he was invited into the house, and they were informed him what they were looking for. Ryan and Scott were both there, but it was Ryan at that time stated that he remembered seeing a small box from a Canon camera. I observed Ryan go to the computer desk, into the drawer. Located in the drawer was a box for Canon PowerShot. Both Ryan and Scott stated they believed that was the camera that she had used for her Auto Trader shoot. So there's actually no ever mention of the other camera, like being missing or not there, because she specifically used this for her Auto Trader. Another thing that they brought Ryan's sitting at the house. Officers are coming and going. Upon our arrival at the residence, Ryan Hillegas met them. Ryan stated he was a close friend of Teresa's and was temporarily staying at Teresa's residence.
Can you pop Nosy back in? She dropped herself back out.
What is wrong with you, Nosy?
There we go.
All right. So,
Look at that fancy work. I love that.
Special Agent Fassbender informed him that they were looking to collect articles of clothing that would have traces of DNA on it. Ryan stated, we were welcome into the residence, and he did show us to Teresa's bedroom. Upon entering the bedroom, we were looking for clothes, hamper, that would have dirty clothing. Ryan pointed to a plastic bag and said Teresa would sometimes pack up her dirty clothing in a plastic bag and take the laundry over to her mom's residence for cleaning. Upon looking through the plastic bag, we did locate several women's panties in the bag. Photographs were taken of the clothing.
7 pair.
Oh, I accidentally clicked the screen. So Ryan stated he never lived at her home where Teresa and Scott Blodorn lived, but stated he stayed at the residence for several days with Scott after Teresa disappeared. I find it funny that they just allowed some ex-boyfriend of hers trample around her bedroom, not look at him with any type of excuse me.
And do you think? I mean, what isn't that like?
Interest
Isn't
at
their
all.
home considered like a place of interest, even if the crime didn't come there? I mean, they need personal things. They want to, maybe I don't know. I guess as an investigator, I would not want people stomping and touching
At
her
that
belongings.
point, before this is after they find the rab with the
Oh, okay,
stuff,
all right,
and the
yeah,
cannon might be after.
get it right, Linda.
But the fact is, why didn't they get a warrant the day she went missing to go through her stuff? Because all they knew is that she made all 3 appointments. They don't know where she last was. For reals. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They just know that she did her 3 appointments and that at some point between 2:41, her last pinging tower, and 4:35, her pinging tower that did not ping, the last call of the day, did not ping. So there is a 2-hour window where she could have gone home.
She knocked herself out again.
Okay.
Either that or it's her internet.
All right, we'll put her back in. Give me a sec. Let me find her. Oh, she's gone. Okay. Anyway,
Oh, Eric
continuing,
Bananas.
continuing. Let me know when
Mm.
she comes back. I asked Ryan if he had been searching for Teresa Halbach on Saturday, 11/5, and if so, where had he been searching? Ryan indicated he and Scott Blodorn were at Teresa's house on the 5th, handing out assignments as to who would search what road or areas. Ryan indicated Pam Sturm arrived late. Ryan stated Pam specifically requested to search the Avery property along with her daughter. That was from the CSO 2.0.
Okay.
From trial. So, did Pamela arrive with all the other groups? He says no. When did she arrive? I don't remember the time. The large group that met that morning left the house at approximately between 7 and 8. I'm going to guess. Pam showed up maybe an hour or two after everybody else left. Now you're planning a search party and you told everybody to be there at 7 or 8 and she don't show up for 2 hours late. Why is that?
Yeah.
Is he waiting for her? Does he know she's on her way? Why is he still at the house and not out searching for Teresa by this time? Why is he hanging back and waiting? Because he basically seems like he's waiting.
Yeah.
And then after a bunch of questions with Buting and stuff, they said, well, did you? Let me ask it this way. Did you speak to any law enforcement people on Saturday morning, November 5th? And he says, I don't know. So let's bring up the test facts, because the test facts was done at 8:50 to 8:52 a.m. If she got there late, an hour or two after everyone left, that would be around 9 p.m. or 9 a.m., which is the same time officers are at her house talking with Ryan, who doesn't remember, testing her facts to find out if that fax number was in fact from her machine. It took them 2 days to do that.
Yep. Lulu wants to know, why was he still there?
Right. Why was he still at the house? Why is he not out searching for Teresa with the rest of the group?
And Jeff Jones says, I don't know. I can't remember. And I don't recall.
You know.
And you know more. Yeah.
So,
okay.
Moving on to weird things with Ryan. This is later in the week. Steven's been arrested. They've set up a website for Teresa for a memorial. There was a mention of it in the paper. They put the address in the paper. They talk about the vigil will be on Friday, November 18th from 4 o'clock to 8 p.m. in the gymnasium. The memorial mass on the 19th. A private burial will take place at a later date. I thought that was a very interesting line, because eventually they supposedly get the bones back at a later date and bury them, right? So, and a memorial is being set up in her name, and this is a message from the family. Teresa's family would like to express our appreciation for all the thoughts and prayers and support we have received and continue to receive throughout this difficult time. The number of people volunteering their time to put up the posters, distribute flyers, and search on foot and vehicle has been absolutely overwhelming. We owe all of you our utmost gratitude. It is this support that we have been receiving and our faith in God that is allowing us to cope through this most difficult ordeal. We have realized there are so many good people in the world who truly do care about the well-being of others, even if we've never met. It seems as though we have achieved our goal in finding Teresa. The hearts of our families go out to everyone who has had a missing loved one or have had to cope with the murder of a family or friend. We hope we fully support the law enforcement in this investigation. I guess that includes untrained law enforcement, Ryan. Without
Yep.
their help, we could not remain as strong as a family as we currently are. We know we will see Teresa again in heaven. God bless you all, the family of Teresa. Very nice page they put up for her,
Yep.
right?
It is,
So,
and might I say, really rest in peace. I mean, I do feel for the family, and I do feel for Teresa, or we wouldn't be here.
right. So let's talk about this page because there is a call on the dispatch coming in from somebody, and then there's one going out to Ryan. I've put those calls together in this video, so I am going to play it. If you guys cannot hear it, let me know, and I will play it through StreamYard. So let me hit play here. Hopefully this don't get feedback.
Hi, this is Patty Mean. I live here in Tilton. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I'm on Teresa Hulbach's website, and somebody put a derogatory remark in there. And, I don't know if you guys would know who's taking care of that website or... Yeah, I think we have the name of the guy, so I'll give him a call and have him look. Yeah, it's ugly. Okay. Very easy. All right, thanks. Bye.
Second call to Ryan.
Hello. Hi. Yeah. Hey, it's Lori at the County Sheriff's Department. Hey there. I'm not sure if it's you or who's maintaining the website. Sure. Oh, we know that there's a nasty remark at the guest book. We just erased it. Oh, okay. I just wanted to bring it to your attention in case you didn't know. Somebody called here and said that they saw it and they didn't like it and they didn't know who to contact. They would know. Yep. And that worked because we already contacted the web designer who's in California and we erased it for her. Okay, what was it?
Quit lighting that pipe.
Well, something's probably going to have to be recorded about it. I don't know what I mean. And basically, I'll give it to you in the almost exact terms, sorry for my language. Or do you want to do you have a way of emailing it to me? We can go about that, or you want to tell me? It was basically to the point. It said the name was Stephen Avery. They signed in with Stephen Avery. Yeah. And basically said, I fucked your daughter, I burned her and tied her up, and I'm sorry, but I needed some pussy. Oh, really?
Whoa!
Yeah, which is horrible. It's later. Okay.
He laughs.
What does he get all that stuff? The email address and all that? And I don't know what. Hold on a second, Ryan. Okay. 824. Having a double B and Carol. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I just wanted to bring it to your attention because somebody called here.
Anybody can hear you.
Okay, I do never hear it. You'd know. Yeah. No, it's just, okay. Yeah, no, it is to our attention. I know the web designer says there's not really a way to get back to it. You can send any you can erase it, but so yeah, I don't know. We erase it. I don't know if we're gonna close it or what. Maybe just watch a little bit. So right, exactly. Okay, thank you for telling me though. Okay, and also yep. Just to let you know, I mean, I don't buy that way my way in. If you guys have any problems with people, I saw there was a lot of cars and stuff. Okay. And everybody's been good, and actually, I've been kind of pushing the press out of here and keeping people off the road, and they've been very good with me. Yeah, just if you need any help, just give me a call on here, okay? Wonderful, thank you. All right, thanks. Bye. Yep, bye.
Okay, let's just.
Everybody's going 420, lighting pipes.
Shush. Right. One more. I just want you guys to hear this again because I find this very interesting.
Yep.
Oh, really? Yeah, which is horrible. It's later. Oh, really? Yeah, which is horrible. Hey, wait on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is horrible. Hey, wait on.
So he laughs, which is horrible. Ha ha, which is horrible. She sounds actually concerned, like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody did that. That's just horrible. And he's like, ha ha, it's horrible. Is
Yeah,
that odd to anybody else that he's giggling about it?
it is to me because he's talking about actually a disgusting comment, and he thinks it's funny. Did he write it and haha, I got caught? Or like Eric Banana Man says, he thinks it was. Um,
Was
oh,
was
good.
it the sicky writer? Maybe it was the person who sent the sicky letter, huh?
Well, he said that he thinks it was a nervous. Let me get up here because I want to quote Banana Man because I just don't want to get him all messed up. Says nervous laugh because he didn't really want to say it out loud, in his opinion. Yeah,
But he laughed at the beginning. I didn't actually show that. And then he laughs at the end. To me, I would take that more seriously if somebody's writing to my friend's deceased memorial page. At this time, it is the 11th. Stephen Avery has been arrested. They know she's most likely dead and burned, and he's giggling about it. I don't care if it's a nervous.
yeah.
Why is
I
he nervous?
It
Why
is a
is he
very
nervous?
sick thing to sit, but you do got to understand because I do suffer from this. Sometimes when I see a tragedy, I laugh, and
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
not
that's
bad
not
like that
funny.
too.
It's just it automatically happens, and so I can kind of see what Banana Man's saying.
But then they
You
made
know,
this guy who has a horrible laugh when he's nervous about things being the spokesperson of their dead deceased daughter, giggling
right? Yeah,
about
yeah.
a message about her being burned, fucked, and
And
whatever.
yeah, he's just disgusting. I
He's
mean,
disgusting in my
he is
opinion.
disgusting. Ryan is suspicious. He's disgusting, and yeah,
And the thing about this, which really bothers me, is I was looking. You can't find her website anymore; it's gone. But the website does still exist on the Wayback Machine.
really,
The
still to this day.
Well, the Wayback Machine's got
Oh, okay,
spring check.
okay.
So the Wayback Machine on November 25th, 2005 says this gives a guest book of support for the family of Teresa Halbach. All inappropriate comments are investigated by authorities
Yeah,
and or are deleted by the guest book system and the webmaster.
right.
This is a comment made saying they are Stephen Avery, who has been arrested in this crime, that they did
Yeah,
these things to Teresa, and authorities never investigated it. They gave
right.
it to Ryan. Ryan deleted the message, and that was enough for them.
Ooh, that's a good one, Sean. He'd love to see how Ryan would come out on a polygraph.
Yeah.
Me too.
So December 10th, skip ahead a few weeks. That comment is now, this is a guest book of support for the family of Teresa Hallback, and all the inappropriate comments are deleted by the guest booking system and the webmaster. So they didn't bother. They changed it. Not even authorities are going to be investigating it now.
Right.
I find that very strange that they never did investigate the one derogatory comment that we do know about.
Yeah.
And I find that very disgusting of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department to not find out who wrote that message, because it could have been nothing. It could have been
Right.
just some idiot who didn't like Avery putting this comment on a page.
Right.
However, it could be the actual killer
Yes.
leaving a message on her website, because sometimes they do that shit because they want to
Of
be
course they
noticed.
do. They'll
And
watch a burning fire they started. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
they never look into it.
Right.
Nothing. Don't find out who wrote it, where the IP address was, or any of that stuff.
Right.
It's
And
never
that's something
investigated.
that Sherry pointed out. I guess they just didn't have no interest in checking an IP address.
That's right.
Yep, I agree.
They could have subpoenaed the records from the California company that hosted this website, and they didn't.
Right. Right.
Okay. Let's
Okay.
move on to some more of Hillegas news.
How far are we now? Let me see. I'm just checking time for you.
probably like 2
Okay.
hours in or
Yes, 2 hours and 9 minutes. We're doing good.
I guess I'll just read this whole article. While police still have plenty of work to do, the announcement finished off efforts of dozens and dozens of friends, former fellow students, former coworkers, and had set aside their lives for the past several days to search for some sign of Halbach. Even now, people want to do nothing but help, said Ryan Hillegas, Halbach's longtime friend. Shortly after the investigators announced, we're just telling them we're not searching. Hillegas, 25, of Hilbert, spearheaded the civilian search efforts in the wooded lots and fields surrounding the rural Manitowoc County salvage yard that, that was the focus of the police investigation. He served as a go-between for the police and helped sector off the surrounding land for effective searching, organized the searchers, and fielded a steady barrage of media questions 5 days in a row, having scarcely enough time to eat a decent meal
Oh.
or change clothes. He reportedly maintained a positive professional attitude throughout most of it. You've got to stay upbeat to keep people coming out, he said. And they asked him, and now? Hillegas declined to say. I find that an odd statement. I don't know why. But members of his search party who would discuss it all had much the same reaction to Thursday's news. They were saddened, but not surprised. She was going to be my daughter's godmother, said Linda Scott of De Pere, a close friend of Halbach's. We're pretty devastated. But even as Scott and her husband helped in the search this weekend, Scott suspected the likely outcome. I had a gut feeling it wasn't going to be good, she said. But what I thought stood out was he declines to say what he's doing now. Like, how is he handling it now? After he finds out that her body was found, or that this is after that. This is the, I think this is.
Well, I could tell you he's probably going and drinking some Mad Dog 2020. How about that one? They're nosy and partying because he didn't get framed for it.
Is Nosy back? Did I ever add her back in?
No, she said I don't know. She said her damn internet's going in and out. So I guess we get the giggle fest afterwards without her.
Here's another one. Another article from the 14th. I believe this was in November. For 4 years, we got yelled at for sitting too close together, for talking too much. 4 years of getting yelled at, said Ryan Hillegas. Hillegas and Halbach dated throughout high school and part of college and remained close friends. But he doesn't dwell on her final days.
Yeah.
What days? What are you talking about, final days? Her final days was one day she was talking to you the day before she went missing. Is that why you don't remember if it was morning, noon, or night? Come on.
Yeah.
Instead, it's the times they laughed about her karaoke performances and her family where she was the second of 5 siblings. She had 2 little sisters she just adored, Hillegas said. But I don't understand that. He doesn't dwell on her final days.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't you hang on to the last few things you knew about somebody?
Days you hung out with her? Why is it saying days? What final days? She went missing on the 31st and was supposedly dead on the 31st. That's one final day.
Right.
Where does days come in? What does he know that we don't know?
Right. And if you still think about it, they were young. Okay. Well, I guess I'm answering a question from him. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead and ask it and answer it.
Well, Eric says he doesn't see any evidence of that was controlling her. She was still talk to him positively. No arrest, no domestic violence, no stalking or anything.
Wait.
Okay.
You said she still talked to him what?
Freely, positively, in a positive way.
How do you know that she was talking to him in a positive way and those weren't messages that he was deleting where he was saying, you better fucking call me back or I'm going to fucking kill you? And then she would call him back and be like, stop fucking calling me. How do you know that wasn't the conversation? How do you know these conversations she's having
Scroll up.
positive?
I'm supposed to scroll up.
I'm just
he implicated somebody she dated while in college, which was mostly Ryan. Is that what you want me to read? Or up further? What was his motive, though? Is that what you mean? No evidence he was jealous or
He
even
was
that
he
still
may have
liked
wanted to
her.
get back together with her. According to the mail on the 3rd of October, he's still looking at her with wanting her.
Oh,
And
keep scrolling. Well, gosh dang, why don't you just type it again, Nosy? How far do you want me to go?
if it's nosy, you tell her to get her ass back in here, and I'm not reading any of her comments from the chat.
Yeah, because I can't. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit lost.
Where are you?
It's kind of hard. I can only scroll up so far, and it
Yeah,
stops it because we've
of
had
the
more
live.
comments. So I'm sorry.
You're just gonna have to
Either
resave.
retype it. Okay, wait. I don't see it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, when you get
Oh,
back,
they're Eric's. Well, that's what I was reading. He implicated somebody she did. Okay, you're talking about Tom Pierce. Okay, what's the motive though? We see the other one. If I can go up further.
passion, heat of passion
Yes.
and argument. That's all it needed. One bad fight where she threatened to call in the police because he's stalking her could cause him to go nuts because he hasn't yet started his life as a man. He just got out of college. He doesn't have his nursing license yet. And if he's stalking her and she found out and she said, look, I'm going to have to file an order of protection against you, and you are not going to be able to come and hang out at my house with Scott. And it might mess up your
Parents won't let
license.
her in. Eric says in her opinion, he may have been looking at her thinking, why did I ever hit that?
Okay. And then all of a sudden he calls her that same very day, and it starts a barrage of phone calls that were pretty fucking regular in October.
More likely she was stalking him.
That's fucking funny.
Okay.
Is that Banana Man?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Sure.
Want to grab a link, Nanner? You can come on here with me.
I'm moving. I'm moving on, Banana Man.
Moving on.
She was the life of the party, said Nick Bandock, who shared the stage with Hallbach more than once on karaoke night at a popular Green Bay bar. You have to have a knack for making people comfortable if you are going to be a successful professional and photographer. And Teresa made you feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
And Hilbert, okay, going into some testimony. Wait a minute. Do I want to go there first or here first? Okay. For testimony, it says, in Hilbert, okay, now you said that you used to date Teresa, kind of, on and off. For how long were you on and how long were you off? Well, we dated for a total of 5 years, I think. We broke up 2 or 3 times in the middle for short periods, maybe for a month at a time. So when was the last time you would say you broke up? 2001, I believe. So I want to make this note too because he mentions karaoke as well. But he mentions
Okay,
a song.
let me interrupt for just a second because Banana Man is leaving our presence. I bow, I bow.
Oh, I
I'm
didn't mean for
bowing,
you to
I'm bowing.
leave. I just
Send you
wanted to move
much
on.
love. Your website's excellent. I
No,
love it.
I feel bad now. Come back.
Okay, he says, I got to go anyway. I'll catch up later. Amazing
Aw.
job, Jinx. Keep up the fantastic work.
Man,
Okay.
I feel like I pushed him out because I
Yeah.
told him I was done with that conversation.
There we go. Bowing.
Bye, Banana Man. Have a good day.
Have a good one, hon.
All right, I'm lost here now.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
So photography was her life, Hillegas says. Now a nurse at Fort Ord Hospital, she could do anything with the camera. Her
See you,
expertise
Shane.
became portraits of children. Her favorite song when she mustered the guts to sing karaoke was Picture by Sheryl Crow and Kid Rock. Now let's see what the synopsis is for this Picture song because I'm pretty sure. What the heck? Close this. Okay. Kid Rock wrote this song, which finds him discovering a picture of his ex and asking her to come back to him. Rock proudly freely indulged his desires with the many groupies available to him. But this song shows his sensitive side, as he's feeling unfulfilled. When Cheryl Crow comes in for the duet, she explains why she left. He was cheating on her! And this is Teresa's favorite song to sing as a duet with obviously Nick Van Dyke, not Ryan. But who did she have an on and off relationship with? None other than Ryan Hillegas.
Yep.
So her favorite song is not about a photography. It's about a breakup,
Yep.
a bad breakup where he's cheating on his girlfriend.
Yep.
I
So,
think that is
so does
somewhat
that say that she was stalking him?
oh my God.
Just saying, Erica, you know.
Oh, Eric. I don't
Gotta
see
love
that
the banana man.
whatsoever. He's the one going to her house, not the other way around. He's the one stopping by because his friend lives there, not the other way around. Not to mention, how hard would it be to stalk him? He doesn't work and he lives at his parents' house. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about Pierce and Pierce's information that he gives. This is from DCI. Pierce talked about Teresa's second family, her group of social friends to include parties from picture people, school, work, and others. Pierce stated that she also worked with a group that helped autistic children. Pierce stated that Teresa lived with a party named Scott, last name unknown, but that Pierce did not believe Scott and Teresa was Teresa's boyfriend. Pierce also spoke of a male individual named Ryan, last name unknown. According to Pierce, Ryan is Teresa's ex-boyfriend and that Ryan is from Hilbert area. Pierce thought that Ryan may be a partier type and may engage in drinking and possible drug use. This is from 2005. Pierce is telling them about Ryan and they don't even look at him.
Right. And he's creepy too, though.
I was aware that Miss Halbach was getting phone calls from someone who was harassing her. Miss Halbach informed me when she was working for me as an intern that she had been in a verbally and physically abusive romantic relationship when she was in college with a male. It is my understanding that she terminated that relationship. Before her disappearance, Miss Halbach was asked to photograph the wedding of someone she knew in Hilbert. Miss Halbach asked me to photograph the wedding instead of her because her ex-boyfriend, Ryan Hillegas, was in the wedding party. During this conversation, she told me that she did not want to photograph the wedding because she didn't want to be around Ryan Hillegas. I asked her why she didn't want to be around Ryan Hillegas, but Miss Halbach did not tell me. I covered the wedding in Hilbert for Miss Halbach and briefly met Ryan there. So she doesn't want to be around Ryan, so why would she be stalking him?
Yep, exactly. And you know, he's creepy. I mean, that guy. But they didn't listen to him, you know. I mean, they didn't follow up on this kind of thing. It was, you know what I'm saying?
Well, this is from his affidavit in 2017.
What is this? Pierce acts like she would tell him everything.
Now, remember what Teresa said in her October 3rd, 2005 email to her
friend. Yep.
There has been nobody since Ryan, which means that is the only boyfriend that she had during college that could have been possibly physically and verbally abusing.
That's right. And I'm sorry, he looks like he would. I mean, for a man who says, I doubt there was anything that I didn't know about her.
Right. And then it's like, and then he changes his story 5,000 times.
Yeah. And he lies about a lot of things, as you've pointed out. So, yeah.
Well, moving on, let's talk more about Thomas. Thomas, who was, I asked, this is now from the interview he had with Queso 2.0. I asked Thomas who he was referring to in his affidavit when he mentioned the fact that Teresa had been in an abusive relationship in college. Thomas indicated that he was not sure, but thought perhaps Ryan Hillegas was the individual mentioned in the affidavit. Tom stated Teresa had once made reference to the fact that Ryan had been abusive, but he could not tell me whether Teresa had made reference to the fact that Ryan had been physically abusive. Thomas went on to indicate that one of Teresa's girlfriends had gotten married and a girlfriend wanted Teresa to do the photography for her wedding. Thomas stated Teresa advised him that she did not want to do the photography for this wedding because of the fact that Ryan Hillegas was standing up in the wedding. Thomas stated he subsequently did the photo shoot for the wedding instead of Teresa. Thomas went on to indicate that Teresa would sometimes get phone calls, which Teresa would find disturbing. Thomas stated he suspected Ryan as being the source of the call. However, he could not confirm this. Thomas stated at one point, Teresa stated Ryan was abusive. He said this now many times. Thomas stated he did not know if the abuse that Teresa spoke about was physical or verbal. Thomas stated that one time, two of Teresa's friends were getting married. Oh, I think I did this. Oh, wait, here. Friends were getting married, and Ryan Hillegas was going to be in the wedding party. Thomas indicated Teresa stated she did not want to do the photography due to the fact that Ryan was going to be in the party. Thomas recalled that he did the photo shoot for the wedding, and there was drug use, marijuana smoking, during the time the photo shoot took place. Tom stated he never saw any signs of injury or bruising on Teresa during the time he knew her. Thomas then indicated that Teresa had made comments about an ex-boyfriend, and Thomas thought this could have been Ryan Hillegas. Thomas indicated Teresa never mentioned Ryan by name.
Yeah, right. I wish she would have. Here we go. This is, yeah.
So this is trial, his smirking at trial. I put his hands on here because in a way I still see scarring on his hands where that scratch was right between his thumb and his forefinger and the two other ones, really. And I don't know if they're scars. I don't know what it is, but I found it very interesting. I also find his smirking and his...
Yes, his whole demeanor on stand.
He doesn't care about Teresa at all.
You know, I can see him still, even though, I mean, you show these pictures and I can still see him sitting up there and him looking up in the air and going, you know, well, you know what I mean? Yeah, he's just got that smirky little look. My mother said, don't trust anybody with beady little eyes. Check them out. Just saying, you know.
He certainly does have beady little eyes.
Yes.
And I hate those smirks. Those smirks
I do
make
too.
me want to punch him in the eye.
I mean, who's sitting on stand talking about your dead girlfriend and has smirks like this?
When he doesn't know where he last seen her because he doesn't want to dwell on her final days.
Yeah, and you think you would hold on to that. Yeah. Most people do.
So this is around trial time. I put this in here. I'm not going to read it, but I do want to. This is from Nancy Grace. I will link the Nancy Grace transcript.
The nasty disgrace. I'll correct.
Well, you go ahead. He doesn't really talk about anything interesting, but the fact that he's like, within these three little paragraphs, he says, 12 times, like he don't know, and he needs to verify that they know because he don't know shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just gonna skip this one. It's really about the bones and how they discovered it was her, blah blah blah, at trial, and they talked to her.
And everybody's saying he's you think he would have cried, and Robin says with her parents right there, like acting like that with her parents right there.
Right. It just seems so.
He was so smug, little drummer girl says. Yep.
Smug. That's a good word for that.
Very good word. Yeah.
So I'm going to discuss now some of the stuff that's come out since Making a Murder. And this was posted. These are some posts from Reddit that had been posted that are rumors. They are rumors. One of them I happen to know is a fabricated rumor by what is now a guilter named Mark Duncan. But This is the one from him. I found out that the party that he was calling about was due to Mike. Her brother telling RH that Teresa was meeting another guy there. So apparently RH was angry. So he went to the party and there was a tiff, a push and a shove, a tiff between Teresa's new boyfriend named Bradley. So then, from my understanding, that was actually Saturday night. Then, from my understand, Teresa was very upset when Ryan came over and they had an argument. Who knows from there, as that is all my contact actually knows, Mike told me. Well, this was from a guy named Mark Duncan. He put this out there. He's told people in the groups that this is made up by Mark. Hangs with guilters now. I'm pretty sure he was always a guilter, and he told me he made up the rumor to see how far it would go. And it still goes now. So he did a good job. The second one was I work with Ryan Hillegas. So I work with Ryan. He is a nurse at the hospital in Milwaukee. He is a great nurse, super intelligent, but is always involved in hospital drama. Before this documentary came out, he told a few of his coworkers that Netflix approached him for an interview, which he declined. Sounds pretty real. Long ago, he mentioned once that he obtained Teresa's cell phone records by simply calling U.S. Singular, explaining the situation, to which a grunt illegally gave over her information. I personally believe that this is not true. Why would Ryan lie under oath for something so insignificant? What is
Right.
also interesting is that a few years ago, Ryan was allegedly found following his most recent ex, also a nurse, home from the hospital after work. She called the police and he claims it was a common misunderstanding. Ryan floats to every unit within our hospital, but now no longer to the medical ICU where his ex works. This leads me to believe there was probably some sort of restraining order placed upon him. If that were true, I believe there must have been more in their past to warrant her calling the police. There is more than meets the eye where Ryan is concerned. For what it's worth, Ryan also claims that after he had her cell phone records, he called a few of the last numbers, Stevens, and questioned about Teresa. According to Ryan, Steven changed his story from one day to the next. What are your thoughts? Well, these are my thoughts. You ready?
Give it to us.
This
I
might
got
be,
a few too.
this rumor has not been debunked. It hasn't been found to be wrong or faked or anything. Some of the things that is interesting is he says he obtained Teresa's cell phone records by simply calling U.S. Singular, explaining the situation. To which
Right.
wrongfully illegal gave over her information.
Lie
Now,
number one.
was
Again.
that record out when this was written? I don't remember, but it does show Ryan calling
Yep.
U.S. Cellular a few times.
But then he lied on stand saying
Right.
he had to have a password.
So it's interesting that he said that. And then he says, for what it's worth, Ryan also claims that after he had her cell phone records, he called a few of the last numbers. That is also true. But was this written after Ma'am came out and some of the records were already known? I believe it was. So from what I know, unknown. Don't know if it's true or not about the there is no restraining order that I ever was able to find within the WCCA. So this rumor is unknown. The other one was made up by somebody who hangs out with guilters. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I don't know.
Here's his other alibi. Ken Grant. So I'm hearing you correctly. When I asked you what would have investigated about Bobby, you said you first would have investigated Ryan Hillegas, who on 1031 was living and working in Milwaukee with a girlfriend in a real life and TH's roommate, Scott Ladorn, right? Well, he puts this out, and let's read some trial testimony for Ken Kratz. Okay, in November of 2005, did you reside in this area? I did. In which county? Calumet. I was currently unemployed. I had just finished school. Okay, so on October 31st, you were not working at all? That's correct. And where were you living? at home with my parents, which is in Hilbert. He was not living in Milwaukee, and he was not working in Milwaukee at the time of this crime. And why the hell is Ken Kratz alibying this guy?
Well, that's the biggest question. Why would the prosecuting attorney be giving a very suspicious and should have been investigated ex-boyfriend alibi?
It kind of reminds me of somebody giving an alibi to Gregory Allen in Stephen Avery case. I believe that was the prosecuting DA as well, Vogel.
There you go.
And who was the perp? Gregory Allen. So
yep,
very, very telling, Mr. Kratz. Now let's
it
remember.
seems to be a habit in that part of Wisconsin.
Yeah, when you're guilty of something, the DA will alibi you just to
Yep.
frame someone else, and that person's always Stephen Avery.
Yep. Whenever
let's
Stephen
remember,
Avery's there, yep.
Kratz had a band named
Alibi.
And he says, we'll tell them you were with us. And he did. He said you were with your girlfriend and at work in Milwaukee.
Yep.
And guess who else has a band on MySpace? None other than Ryan Hillegas, and his is Conscious Lies.
Yes.
So here you have alibis crazy. For conscious lies.
Yep. Isn't that, you know what? That's like Freudian slip or however you say that. I mean, or is that like embedded confessions or, you know?
Yeah, it's very interesting.
And let's say his band was before his, or was it was during his time of being a lawyer? I don't know.
This was long before this case. This was in 2000
but still, you know.
He was in this alibi with Schimmel and a couple of other people that were in the law enforcement area, right? They were all prosecutors of some sort.
Yep. Yeah. Conscious lies, though. I mean, come on, Ryan.
He's consciously lying to you about his last time seeing Teresa. If he consciously lies about his music, he's consciously lying about everything else, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right, Yoris. Good Lord, alibi. I mean, come on. When I heard that, I about fell off my chair. And when I heard about Ryan's name, my jaw dropped down to my feet and beyond. I was just shocked because I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know about his conscious lies?
I did not know about that. That was like boom to me, you know. Wow.
Yeah, just some of the things you find 6 years investigating a person. Yeah. I put these in there just because it's Leah Marie Kratz and she's getting information from Kratz, of course.
Yeah.
He was talking to Mark Wiegert, he calls him Hillegas, was headed up the search party with Wiegert's help. There you go. Nothing dirty, nothing suspicious. If he's heading up a search party with the officers' help and they're sending search party into the Avery yard on behalf of Wiegert, who is law enforcement, and they did not tell them they were there on behalf of law enforcement, guess what, Leah? That means everything from finding the rab is no good.
Right. And look
at poisonous tree.
Right. Look at that blocked.
Oh, I definitely had.
Definitely. But no, I get exactly what you're saying. You're right. Correct.
I want to know where the proof of his very questionable past is. By the way, I happen to know for a fact that she and Ryan were on great terms. How do you know that? Because he was talking to her every day for 2 weeks before she went missing, and then it stopped? To me, that shows that he should have been looked at. Why did it automatically stop? What happened there?
I can never pronounce their name. Sian says your volume is quite low compared to mine.
I don't know how to fix that.
That just went up, but I got a really big mouth. I'm sorry.
I apologize.
And now that's very good. I'm sure they can tell the difference.
All right. So anyways, onward and upward from Leah.
Yeah.
I threw these in there. These are the Ask Zellners that had to do with Ryan pretty much. We are not saying that that Hillegas moved the car. We are saying that Hillegas may have assisted the police in locating the car because it's clear the police knew where the car was and told Pam Sturm where to find it on the 5th. Second one, the police reopened an investigation into Halbach murder in November of 2017 based on the evidence that we have developed The police have a DNA swab from Bobby, but not Scott or Ryan Hillegas. The only unidentified DNA is crime lab evidence or
Yep.
items. We've never alleged We've never alleged Ryan was working with Stephen's family. It appears that he had a great deal of police contact prior to the RAV being discovered. We have not removed the ex-boyfriend as a Denny candidate.
Thank
We
you.
wish he would remove himself by cooperating with us.
Yep.
It's important to show that Stephen did not get a fair trial than to solve the crime.
Yep. It's so true.
Just so you know, she hasn't removed him as a Denny, even though Bobby's a bigger Denny and a better Denny. And she also states that it's important to show that Stephen did not get a fair trial than it is to solve the crime.
It is. He did not.
She wants to solve the crime, but that is not her intention. Her
Nope.
intention is to get Stephen a fair trial and exonerated. And if Bobby's the best Denny to get her into the court, she will use him. That's what
right.
I think.
And I totally 100% agree with you. I just wish it wasn't a family member because of what it entails. But we don't need to get into that.
But part of that is the state's
using
fault
Denny.
because the state intentionally hid evidence that
Yep.
pointed to somebody else because
Yep.
they didn't even want to collect it. Just like they didn't want to collect anything else against anyone else because therefore there would be evidence to use against them as a Denny suspect. So just
That's right.
not look at it.
And
With
that's why
Bobby,
yep.
they didn't have a choice because Bobby lived on the property where all the officers were looking for fucking a week. So
Right.
and they had to go back because
Well,
Buning knew that there was computer at their house and Stephen was saying it was looking at porn. So they just hid it from everybody.
Right. I mean,
which makes it worse for
it
Scott
does.
or for Bobby, in my opinion.
Right. It does. And like, what is this saying?
So this is the only picture of Teresa that Ryan Hillegas posted on his Facebook in the aftermath of making a murderer, a button that they all wore back then. See his reflection in it. Nothing personal.
They printed that? Wow.
No, they didn't print it. That was on his page. I just stole it from his page.
No, I mean, they printed the button with his reflection on
No,
that?
he put the button somewhere and took a picture of it, and his reflection is in the button. He took a picture of himself in a button.
Okay, gotcha.
He's
right,
overbearing over her,
Say
in my
goodbye to
opinion.
Nosy. She's feeding
Bye,
her kids.
Nosy. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for helping.
Yeah, that is strange.
Nothing personal. You know of them together when they were young. Nothing personal of them when they were together when they were young. No pictures of them when they were an adult and best friends. Nothing. Just one picture of a fucking button.
Right. Of course.
I find that
you say it, Sherry. Of course. I say it and there it pops up. Of course he didn't.
The aftermath of this was also a person called Daniel Luke. He was a sporter early on, and he once wrote Ryan Hillegas and only posted this one response that I have ever seen. But it was, boy, you sure did get away with it for a long time, Ryan. You had her logins. You knew her comings and goings, didn't you? And Ryan responded, have fun believing what you see on TV. I don't even need to insult you. You do it well enough on your own. So, and then I guess he blocked him because he never sent another message.
Of course.
I don't know what happened. I got this passed along by me. For all I know, it might not even be, I believe it is Daniel Luke who did that. And some of you will remember who that person is. But
Colette says his coldness is chilling. Yeah, it is.
And then after Making a Murderer came out, they started a petition to not put out Making a Murderer Part 2. And Ryan shared it on his page. He signed and shared it.
Yeah, I can't get over the fact that the girl he was talking to, Fana, or whatever her name was, Fauna, joined, this Brendan is innocent.
Yep.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of strange going ons here, It really is.
He definitely has some interesting things that were leading up to her going missing that they never looked at. Right. Especially the calls that automatically are coming in all the time in October. Here you have Tom Pierce saying she's getting calls she doesn't really want. You know what I mean? She has no choice to have a relationship with him because his best friend lives at her house.
Yep, exactly. I mean, she was forced into it. He was staring at her. He was there how many nights a week, but he can't remember. Look at them smirks. That's just, yeah, when he goes, like that one, I just can't stand that one. He's licking his lips and moving his lips. It just is creepy.
Those are the many faces of Ryan at trial. This is the end. This is the end of my presentation. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I gotta go now. Bye bye. No, I'm just kidding.
No, now you can just get rid of that. And we can have a giggle fest. No, I'm like,
let's open a few things.
I think it was very well done. You covered a lot, and there is everything she used, all the links.
I will link the source in the. I will link the sources in this, and I will also link this up. Probably this PowerPoint for you guys to go through if you want. But I'll do that later.
Get rid of the thing and get us up there and see if we got some questions here.
So any questions, comments from the peanut gallery? Anybody?
Great job, Jinxie. Great job, Jinx, Nosy, and Linda. Well, we didn't do anything but Fallout come in, interrupt.
Make me talk to myself for 5 minutes, not knowing it.
Everybody's saying great job. Thank you. Loved it. No questions. Nobody has any questions.
Thanks, everyone. You guys rock.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much, you guys.
I hope it was educational. I don't know if I'll do a part 3 ever, but at least I got it out, most of it. If I think of anything else, I was talking with Jeff Jones not the other day, I think it was, and I was talking about possibly a part 3, going through the 2 different trial transcripts from what he said at pre-trial and what he said at trial. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to put any. What do
great
you call
job.
it?
They loved it. Alice, great job. Susan, great job. William,
hi Alice.
Thanks, Callan.
Hi Colette.
Colette.
Hi Robin. I didn't get to say hi before because I had a screen open and couldn't see anything.
Yeah. Well, like I said, don't thank me because all I did was fall out, interrupt, laugh, and
But you did a great job doing that. So thank you.
But thanks, everybody.
Do I think KZ's interpretation is the same? As far as Ryan, you mean? I think she's very stuck on Bobby because Bobby is with Bobby, there's so much other stuff that they actually collected from the house. He lived on the property. There's a little more like doubt that she can put on Bobby being the culp to whether or not Steven's guilty. I don't think it makes. I mean, I don't think Bobby did it. I'm going to say it right now. I'm not a big Bobby fan, but
me neither.
I mean, could it have happened? I guess anything's possible in this case. There's many possibles. But all of them are innocent until proven guilty, which is something Stephen was not given in 2005. And I want to remind you all that just because I have thoughts about this, I am not going to tell you he's guilty. I have questions for him that he has not answered, just like Kathleen Zellner has questions for him. I don't know what her interpretation is of the same stuff. I do think that her first motion in August of 2016, when she did name Ryan as individual B, did align with a lot of what I was thinking the whole time. So I kind of thought like she validated me, but now she's all on Bobby. But I see why Bobby, because Bobby
might get her in court.
A better Denny suspect, as sad as it is, because it's his family. That's what I think.
Right. And I totally agree with you. I don't know who did this. I have no idea. My thoughts have been Ryan for a long time because there's no investigation. There's all these questions that Jinx pointed out. And his lying about the insurance, his lying about where his presence, the way Hallbuck looked at him, it's really, really, questionable. I think they question. The question for Kathleen is who's going to get her in court? Well, Bobby, because he lived there, because he lied, because he left similar or close to or before or shortly after Teresa did. That's my thoughts.
And the computer that was hidden by police.
Just because you're a creepo don't mean you're a murderer. Okay. And he was a young kid. So, I mean, who knows? And those sites that he was looking at, I'm sorry, but back then, a lot of people were. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to give an excuse. It is sick to me, but you never know.
Yep.
Anyway,
So
thanks, Jinxie. It was great being here. I loved your presentation. You know I did. I got a sneak preview yesterday, guys, but I loved it
yes.
today.
I needed to practice.
It was great of all of you to join Jinxie. Thank you so very much for
I
supporting
appreciate
her.
it.
She's a great researcher. We love her and we want her to keep going. So encourage her and do the Yoris law by smashing that thumbs up because it's a law, you know. You know, he made it
Yeah,
a law.
if you don't put your DNA on my buttons, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a painful ride. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just babbling now.
Yeah. Well, it must have been them couple hits. No.
I had to drink. I had a
Not
drink.
everybody heard, and I'm so jealous of. Anyway, thanks, guys. Thank you, Jinx.
If there's nothing else, I will be signing off. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And I love it when you ring my bell, you guys.
Yeah.
And
Bye.
I just wanna mention that I do have I did receive the discs from Brendan's trial. I'm working on those and I will have a live. It will probably be a very short live just to release what was found on those discs in probably in the next day or so. So be on the lookout for that. And then I will also I'm having Becca's helping me get those discs to be uploaded to one whole video because there's 3 of them, so that it's just one long video, so that we can
Right.
post a video for you of all of it on YouTube of what I got. So be on the lookout. That's coming up, and other than that, I have nothing else. There is no 3-4 parts. Jeff told me, so if you come up with something, you let me know, and maybe we'll think about it. Other than that, I will sign off. I appreciate you all coming. It means all the
Well,
world to
Barb
me.
was
You
here,
guys are
so
here.
say hi to Barb. She
Hi,
was in here.
Barb. I'm so glad that you came and joined us. Everyone, Darkside, Jeff,
Yeah,
Robin,
every one
all
of
of
you.
you. You
Even
guys
the
are
porn
great.
bot that
Even Mr.
seems to be here.
Capachana, Pornbot, thank you for putting your 2 cents in, I guess, whatever. But it will be deleted momentarily.
Yeah.
You have a nice day. Good luck to all of you. Be safe and love you. Bye.
Bye.